Good evening and welcome to SkoufCodes. I'm Skoof, and the first thing you'll notice if you haven't tuned in for a while, we got a little bit of a new layout going on. I got the big cam on the right hand side. I got the chat on the left. Feel free to chime in if you like that or hate it or think I should do it differently. For the moment, I'm just going to have the chat up when I'm in this sort of like big, face cam mode. But we might change that at some point. I'm wanting to maybe put the chat sort of on the right hand, so yeah, on the right hand side of the screen perhaps while I've got the code window up. And that's motivated for a couple of reasons. One of them is that I've started also exporting all these VODs to a YouTube channel just so I can have them for posterity because Twitch doesn't keep them forever. So yeah, let's see how it goes. Tell me if you like it, tell me if you hate it, tell me if you think the design is ugly. I've tried to sort of match my colors with all the rest of the stuff I do, but yeah, hopefully it's working pretty well. So tonight, we're going to basically, well, not quite pick up where we left off. So if you tuned in on Sunday, you would have seen me doing all this infrastructure as code stuff. And we kind of hit a bit of a roadblock. After I stopped streaming, I spent a lot of the rest of the day working on it, and I kind of combined with Sunday afternoon and sort of yesterday, Monday, I kind of figured out some of the issues there. And these are all going to be going into a blog post that I'm writing, but the brief summary is that I turned off the firewall, which helped immensely. I was also testing using a VirtualBox virtual machine, and that was kind of a two-edged sword. It sort of worked well, sort of brought up some issues that I probably wouldn't get otherwise. But I eventually did get things working. I actually now have the physical hardware that I'm going to be running things on. I picked up the server, I think I was saying on Saturday, I picked up the server that afternoon, and it works really nicely. I've booted it up and played around with it and fiddled with all the settings on it. So yeah, we've got the physical hardware. So what we're going to do today is I'm actually going to bootstrap the final version of Container Linux onto the server. So if you didn't tune in on the weekend, let me give you a brief sort of overview of what we're doing again. What we're doing is we're using a combination of Terraform, which is an infrastructure as code sort of declarative style state managed tool for managing infrastructure. We're using something called Matchbox, which is a server that handles sort of network boot provisioning. So it sort of handles assigning different infrastructure profiles to different machines based on criteria like MAC address and other hardware or other aspects of the machines. And we're also using something called Ignition, which is a CoreOS container Linux project, which helps you again, sort of declaratively specify how you want a system to be provisioned. So what happens is Terraform, Matchbox runs as sort of a daemon on your system. It's running in Docker at the moment on my machine. And Terraform connects to that over a gRPC endpoint, and it sort of pulls the strings there. So in Terraform, you define what you want your infrastructure to look like, so what you want the domain names to be, what MAC addresses map to which domain names, etc. And then you do a Terraform apply, which says, okay, go out and create this infrastructure, and then that communicates with Matchbox to set up those Matchbox profiles and groups. And then when the machines boot over the network, depending on their MAC address, they get given a different profile, and they'll boot and provision in a different way. So really cool. It's going to let us basically provision what could be a Kubernetes cluster on my local network. It'll actually just be one machine. But in the future, if I ever want to reprovision or something goes wrong, it's really easy to spin it up again. So that's what we're doing. Infrastructure as code in the home. That's what I'm kind of calling the stream. That's what the blog post is going to be called. And we're pretty close. So let's jump over to the code view. Here we go. So on the weekend, I had some ideas about, well, the way this works is these guys called this Poseidon project have set up this repo called Typhoon, which sort of sets up and provisions. They've created a Terraform module. So Terraform supports this sort of module system. That's one of the big advantages over something else like CloudFormation, if you've ever used AWS. So AWS has CloudFormation, and that lets you again define a template, and then you say, okay, go create this infrastructure in AWS, and it'll do it. But Terraform's a lot better in many ways. Terraform supports state management. So if you create all that infrastructure with CloudFront, you can really only then either create it again with some different parameters or tear it down. What Terraform lets you do is like destroy one server, and then Terraform will actually go do the AWS CLI or communicate via the AWS API to figure out what has changed, and it'll say, one server has been removed, I'm going to create it again because that's what you said in your template, right? So Terraform is really powerful in that way. The other thing it lets you do is it lets you modularize things, right? So what we've got up here, I'm just trying to center myself in that camera, what we've got up here is we've got a Terraform module that these Poseidon guys have created with their Typhoon project, and that's where a lot of the functionality of this is defined, right? That's how we define how to manipulate all the strings behind the scenes with Matchbox and what profiles to load and what commands to give to Ignition. So what happens is the server is going to call out to this Matchbox server, and it's going to get an initial boot environment. That's just kind of like a bootstrapping process to get it to the point where we can serve things to it over HTTP, which are all way faster than any other method. And then it's going to get given an Ignition config, and then that's going to determine how it installs Container Linux, which is the OS that these are going to run on. And then it's going to call again, and it's going to get another profile to install Kubernetes as either a controller or a worker, etc. So that stuff is all defined in this Terraform module here, and here we just plug in some variables. So you can see I'm plugging in a cluster name, I'm plugging in the endpoint of our Matchbox server, I'm plugging in what Container Linux channel I want, some more domain names, an SSH key so that we can connect to it, an asset directory to chuck out some configs to, and again some configuration for our nodes here. Now, on Sunday, I thought I was going to have to do a bit of configuration around a data partition. So this server is going to run Plex, and I'm going to want to have some persistent storage there, and I'm going to want to take all the persistent storage, and it's going to run on multiple other hard drives that are going to be installed in this server. I thought I might want to use create some data partitions, which are not what's in this default module up here, but decided against that because I think the data partitions are more easily managed just manually because they're kind of persistent. We don't want that in any infrastructure as code config because if we re-provision, it might mess with our data partitions. We don't want to lose any data. So I decided against that. So I think what happened on Sunday is I forged on and I tried to get it working and it didn't really work. Like I said, disabling the firewall made everything work. I'm going to have to just make sure I re-enable it after I'm done with all this stuff. But, I'm reasonably safe in here. That firewall really wasn't doing a whole lot on my machine. And yeah, also using the actual hardware itself made things a lot easier. But what I realized when I started playing around with it and I finally got it working and it started provisioning and it was really awesome, I was very happy. What I realized was actually there are some things that we need and there are some modifications we need to make in this module in order to make this a bit more fit for purpose. And so I've got my descriptions of what I need down here. This is just to remind me the other day when I was working on it when they came to me. So the first thing that we need is if we're going to have data partitions, I don't know if you guys know this, and this is it was slightly new to me, but you know how on Linux you tend to name things like /dev/SDA, those are your hard drives SDA, then the second hard drive SDB, SDC, SDD, etc. Right? And then your partitions are /dev SD1, SDA1, SDA2, SDA3, SDA4, SDA5, etc. Those assignments, they're effectively mappings of, these are sort of block device names, SDA and SDB. They're actually not static. I don't think they're static. They're not persistent from what I've read. So what that means, and I have actually seen this in my own machines, is that sometimes you'll boot up and the hard drive, let's say you install your hard drive to SDA, what you think is SDA or what gets assigned SDA. In theory, the next time your machine boots, it could actually boot and that hard drive is assigned SDB. Now, in the template here, and actually same goes for network interface, exactly Xenocron. Oh, and that's actually a good thing that I need to put in here. I need to, I think I'm going to need to assign static network interfaces. Just thank you for reminding that. Assign static network interface names 0. That's a good, so yeah, Xenocron's pointed out the same thing happens for network names or network interfaces. And so what we need to do is that if we're going to have our data partition living on a particular block device, and and we're going to want to be able to sort of re-provision the same hard drive, we're actually going to have to use persistent block device naming. So we're going to have to use a system that actually persistently names that the same thing every time. And so that is possible. If we have a look at this is sort of the documentation for that Terraform module. You can see that you can pass optionally an install disk parameter, either dev-sda or dev-sdb, or whatever. And I'm assuming this is going to take something like a persistent block device name, which we'll get into in a second. But crucially, if we're using persistent block device names, they're going to change depending on the machine. So the first thing we need to add to this Terraform module is going to be allowing you to give basically an array of persistent block device names, and each one is going to map to a different node in our Kubernetes cluster, right? So we're going to have something like this, and I think I'll call it install. Now, something funky with the indentation here, but that's okay. Effectively, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to change this value, install disk. Currently, it's just one global value for all of the Kubernetes cluster. We're just going to have to change it so it takes an array. So that should be pretty straightforward, right? Install disk equals, and then it's going to be our persistent block device, right? But as an array. So if we were to add more nodes, we could pass different devices for different nodes, and it would all map nicely. So that's one change we're going to need to make. The other one, as I've said down here, is we're actually going to need to, I noticed that when the machine provisions, it provisions with these funky like ENP, they look a bit like this. They're like ENP5SO. That's the current network interface that I've got on this machine, this desktop that I'm running. And that's not really great, and I don't want it to have that. I'd rather it just be F0, right, which is the easiest one, which is the default. So we need to figure out how to make that happen. That doesn't happen by default in the ignition config. I'm sure it's possible, just got to make it happen. And the other thing we need to do is we also need to assign static IPs per machine. Now, I think the reason that's not allowed for currently in the Terraform module is because they're sort of thinking more of a sort of data center environment where you've got something more powerful than what I have, where it's sort of dynamically reserving and assigning DNS entries to particular MAC addresses. So machine boots up, it can have a dynamic IP, but it'll get assigned a host name, possibly based on its MAC address. I'm not really sure, but for my home network, what I'd like it to have a static IP. So I'm going to add that into the ignition config so that it boots up with a static IP, and then I'm also going to allow you to give a global DNS gateway and net mask for the entire cluster, and again put that into the ignition config, just so we can get our networking nice and good. Don't know what to say about that, but yeah, I want to be able to inject that configuration because I think that'll make management a lot easier. Because at the moment it's provisioning with DHCP, I think it's provisioning with DHCP. Every time it comes up, I can't bind a static host name to it, a static DNS entry. I've got to change it every time, which means I've got to go into it because currently my router is doing the DNS. So I've got to go into my router, I've got to configure it, and I've got to save it and apply it. It's frustrating, it's not useful. So those are really the 4 things that I think I need to do. And then once that's done, I'm going to have this Kubernetes machine running. And if we get that all done in time, which we might not, or alternatively, if we get it all done, but then the provisioning is taking forever, which is what happened. I actually thought it was stopped. We can kind of watch it as it provisions, but it does take quite a while. So if we get all that done, then I'm actually going to move on to configuring some of the stuff that we're going to run on the Kubernetes server. So my plan for that is I'm going to use the Helm package manager for Kubernetes, and I'm going to create some Helm charts for some of the programs I want. And one of the things that I want is I want to run a home wiki. I think I was talking about this on the weekend, to store information. I've already got like a temporary little thing going for some bits and pieces, like even just how to operate the server. So the server I've bought has some funky key codes. You've got to press F8 at just the right time while it's booting, and it's not immediately obvious, and it's hard to find documentation on it. So I'd like to put stuff like that in there. I'd like to put information about, I mean, my real dream would be to actually take all the manuals for like things in the house, like the the stove, like the washing machine, the fridge, and actually scan them and have them all digitally in the wiki. I could put passwords in there. I mean, you could do all sorts of things. I mean, you can even imagine, like, what if I mean, obviously I would never do this because my apartment is like a 1-bedroom tiny apartment and I'm always here. But imagine if you were a Airbnb owner, you could have a home wiki. And so you could give people, like, credentials to the wiki, hop onto your Wi-Fi network, and you could have stuff. You could have a welcome pack, you could have information, you could have local food spots, you could let them sign a guest book. I mean, it's very antiquated, but you know, leave a message for the owner, communicate. You could do all sorts of things with it. But yeah, I want to have a home wiki, and so Helm has, if we have a look at Helm chart browser. This is slightly off topic, but we'll get started soon. Monocular, that's what it's called, and there's a link to it here, cubeapps.com. You can browse the different Helm apps that are here, and where are we? Browse.com, explore apps. So if you search for wiki in here, what you get is a few different things when it loads. Yeah, if you search for wiki, you get DocuWiki, MediaWiki, and Fabricator. Fabricator seems like it's not really what we're looking for. MediaWiki, DocuWiki, they're both pretty antiquated. MediaWiki, I'm pretty sure, is what runs Wikipedia. That's the open source backing for Wikipedia, but it's a little heavy. It runs on PHP. I don't really want to learn or do PHP. So instead, what I've got is I've got something called Wiki.js, which seems really cool. It's all a bit on JavaScript. As you guys know, if you've been watching the stream, I like JavaScript. I've been writing a bit of it lately. I think this would serve me a little better. It's a little more lightweight. It comes with an example Docker Compose file, which I think would make it a lot easier to deploy onto Kubernetes, because I could kind of borrow that. That's going to show me, if we have a look at the example, it'll show you what you kind of need to be running to get MediaWiki working. So if we successfully provision the Kubernetes cluster and we've got some spare time, I'm going to work on writing a bit of a Wiki.js Helm chart, which will be a little fun. So let's get on with the show. What we're going to need to do here, because the module that we're referencing doesn't support the things that we need, we're going to have to fork it. And I've already done that in the background, so I'm just going to close this project for the moment, and I'm going to open up, where is it? Typhoon. So it's my own fork, living in my own GitHub account of this, and we're going to modify this bare metal folder. We're going to modify some of the TF files in here and some of the container Linux, some of the templates to add those features that we wanted. So the first one we need is we're going to have to change the... Where are we? Going to have to change that install disk from being a string to being a list. I think that's what we want. Yeah, the same as up here, right? List. String type list. We're not going to have a default anymore. So I think that means we're going to have to specify it for every device, which I think is okay, right? Because this is just for us. Oh no, sorry, you can have a default. No, because you need a dynamically generated default. Then you need sort of, yeah. You need one for each element in the list. So we don't really want that. So we're just going to have a list. And I'm going to change this description. Guess who's back? Hey Z-Man, thanks for joining. Back again. Actually, let's not delete that. So the description here is going to be this device to which install profiles should install container Linux. In fact, we're going to have a couple of, and we should move this out of the optional section because it's not going to be optional anymore. So let's put it up here in the machines. Or no, in configuration. Yeah. So install disk, and we're actually going to do it. We're going to have separate ones for the controller and separate one for the workers. Right? Install disk controllers. Thanks for that, Z-Man. Or no, we should match the naming here. Let's call it controller work disk. controller install disk. So we're going to have controller install disk, and we're going to have worker install disk, right? Worker install disk. Disk device switch, the install profile should install container Linux, e.g. dev SDA. I'm going to put more prefer persist. Hey Aaron, how's it going? Persistent. Thanks for watching. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for coming back, Sanacron. Appreciate it. Hope you enjoy. Where's my... That's where it's... Yeah, I need that taskbar back. Prefer persistent. So I'm just going to put a note in there to prefer persistent device names. Also, thank you, WG San Juan Jr. I know who you are. Z-Man, you know who that is too. Thanks for this. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Don't know if you're watching, but appreciate the follow regardless. I'm going to put a note in there to say prefer persistent block device names, such as, and I think what we're going to do, so these persistent block devices, they come in a couple of flavors. You can do by label, by UID, and by UUID. I think they're only available for partitions. We actually want a persistent block device name. Strict moderation is now in effect. All right, just relax, Z-Man. We'll see how we go. Z-Man is not actually a moderator. He may think he is, but technically, in the technical sense, he is not. Oh, thank you for that link, Xenocron. So that's consistent network device naming. That's going to be amazing. Hopefully we can use that to some great effect. Consistent network device naming. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Right. So it is in fact persistent. It's just not right. Gotcha. So what Xenocron, that link that Xenocron's has given, as you can see, it's persistent. It's based on the slot number and the port number for cards in PCI slots, which I'm pretty sure, I think these network adapters are on board. So it's going to be based on the network adapter name, but now interesting. Is a convention. It created around 2009 to replace the old FX naming scheme that caused problems on multi-homed machines. Oh, interesting. So they are persistent. They're just not sort of intelligible. Perhaps that's okay. Perhaps we'll just leave it that way then. Thank you for that. That's probably going to save me some time. So I might just take what it's called it, and I have actually got it provisioned and running in the background. I can... Gotcha, Xenocron. Okay, cool. Let's not switch back to FX. Let's leave it the way it is. I've actually got the machine running and on, and I should be able to SSH into it. So what I should be able to do is I should be able to check what it is and use that, because I think we have to use that in the configuration we're going to give it a static IP and to do that sort of networky stuff. So cool. Thank you for that, Xenocron. Appreciate it. Hopefully that'll save us a little bit of time. Okay, so... yeah, like I was saying, this persistent block device naming, it's got a few different schemes. The first few only apply to partitions. We want to name the actual disk itself. So I think what we need to use is we need to use the by ID or by path. And at this point, it doesn't really matter which one we use. So I think I'm just going to use the by ID one because it doesn't really look nicer, but I think we're going to use by ID, right? So that means our labels are going to be /dev/disk/by-id. Back into here, prefer persistent, paste, prefer persistent block device labels such as, I should break this. Can we do continuation in here? No, maybe not. Look, let's just leave it that way and we'll figure out how to do that later. Such as that type labels. All right, let's do that, and we'll copy that. And we probably need to disk device switch install profile should install container Linux on controller machines. Profile should install container Linux on worker machines. So that's the first addition we've made. Have I already pulled out a branch here? I think I have. Let's give it a second. Yes, right, I've called it add new features. So we'll add one at a time. So now that we have those lists, what we're going to need to do is, first of all, we're going to need to actually inject those variables into the templating process. So these templates here, this is the actual template that gets, you can see here, we're calling CoreOS install and we're passing -d install disk. So we're going to have to make sure that the value from these variables that we've defined actually makes it into here. And do we need to define them anywhere else? No, they're just defined there. And then in the, so this template is actually rendered in profiles.tf. So you can see down here, we render it using here, install disk, right? And it's already flagging that var.install disk doesn't exist anymore. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to go var dot oh, hang on a sec. Yeah, that should be okay. We should be able to length var dot controller names. I'm just trying to see, are we doing any injection? It's going to be a little tricky, but I think it should work. So we need to pull like the count element out of that array, but what I'm thinking is we may have to actually merge those arrays and hope that everything works in a deterministic fashion. So what I mean by that is we want to, so yeah, because this install is only run, yeah, I think this install ideally is supposed to sort of be independent of whether it's a worker or a controller, but that's okay. I think we can work around that. I'm gonna have to look up the documentation of the template syntax, or sorry, the Terraform syntax, so that I can figure out how to merge those arrays, or sorry, those lists, and hopefully we can pull out the right value. Now, yeah, that should be okay. Cache container Linux install. Oh, we're passing it in multiple places. It's because we do some caching. What caching does it do? Interesting. Interesting. Okay, that's alright. Not necessarily a problem. I think what we can do is we can use this count variable. So what this count variable is doing is it's saying for the number of times of the length of var.controller names plus the length of var.worker names. So basically for each device, render a template, right? Create a separate install config. Now, do we actually use the count at all though? Doesn't seem like we do. So it's just creating multiple of them. And then here, oh no, that's just data. No, it's data again here. No, that's controller configs. Ah, sorry. So this refers to, no, here the container Linux config refers to these, right? The rendered version of these templates. Okay. I think yeah, and I think based on the name, does it render them differently based on the name? How does it actually reference that? It creates a bunch of them and probably binds them to names. Well, look, let's just see if this works the way that I'm expecting it to work. They're the install configs. Data.template file. And then here we do cached, it's a cached version. Okay. So let's just go. Alright, let's look up our Terraform docker to figure out how to do Terraform join lists concat function. There's a concat function. That's what we need. So we just need Terraform concat. Oh, the interpolation syntax. Right. There's a whole section here probably on functions, conditionals, built-in functions. There we go. Compact concat. Concat. Right, so we just need two lists in there. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to say, let's call it install disk list equals, where's that example? I've already forgotten how it works. Yeah, concat, and then we're going to pass var dot controller install disk var dot worker install disk. Cool, that should do it. And then here we're going to pull out that nth element of that list, that joined list, right? So I think we use the element function for that. Yeah, single element at the given list index, right? So we go $brace element of that install disk list, and we pass the count, right? And so I think you can use the count that way. Actually, we can probably see down here. We're going to use it. Where is it? Yes, you can see down here the count is used, count.index. That's what we want, right? So we use that to pull values out of these lists here, like controller mains, controller names, etc. Right? So we want to do the same thing up here, count.index, and I'm going to want to grab that and chuck it down in this other spot, and do the same thing with this install disk value. Cool. And so I think that's that done. So I think now we just need to pass in that value and we should be okay. So I'm going to commit that. And look, this is all going to probably come crashing down in a heap later on, but we'll solve those problems as they come. So I'm going to add my standard git ignore here. So for some reason, I think we discussed this on the stream at some point, the idea folder that that WebStorm creates, you can commit it. I don't like to commit it. I just think it's messy. I don't think our repos should contain stuff that doesn't need to be in there, or that isn't platform agnostic. So I'm just going to go to gitignore.io and get a Terraform gitignore, and that should do it. Oh no, sorry, it's not a Terraform gitignore. In fact, shouldn't there already be... Wait, is there not a gitignore in there? There isn't a gitignore. How fascinating. It's not in this, is it? No. Interesting. Okay, there isn't a gitignore. Well, we want Terraform, and we want... Terraform, and we want WebStorm. Yeah, let's create that. Oops, cancel. Or does that not even... No, look, maybe we just want the Terraform one, and I'll just add my own Terraform. Oh no, I might just add the dot idea folder manually. Yeah, I don't think we need that, to be honest. I just don't like it. So it should be ignored from here now. Yes, it is. Cool. Git ignore. So I'm gonna add .git ignore for idea folder of WebStorm, and then I'm going to go git add dot commit. So add ability to specify boot device, install device per machine. This adds the ability to specify a per machine install device instead of a global install device. This allows us to consistently reference our reference our install devices across machines instead of relying on non-persistent block device naming. If the wrong device gets assigned the non-persistent block device name we have chosen, data loss is possible. This way we will avoid that because persistent block device naming references physical hardware. Cool. So that's that committed. Right, the next thing we wanted to add was I wanted to add to the ignition config the ability to specify our network configuration, right? So specify a static IP. Now that static IP may actually not come up, so the system reboots a few times, so when it first boots, it can boot by DHCP. That doesn't really matter. It's going to install the OS though, and then after it's installed the OS, it should then boot with a static IP, and that's when we really care, because that's when Terraform actually needs to call out to it and upload the sort of upload SSH keys and install and bootstrap Kubernetes. That's when it actually needs a static IP. Excuse me. So I think where we need to do that is we need to do that. I do have some Docker on this, so let's just read out Docker a little bit. So there's Ignition page, there's a help page on how to do static networking. Configuring network D with Ignition is a very straightforward task because Ignition runs before network D starts. Configuration is a matter of writing desired config to disk. Ignition has a specific section dedicated to this. Each of the examples is written in version 2. Okay, cool. So static networking. This example, a network interface with the name S0 will be given IP address 10.0.1.7. Typical interface will need more configuration and may use all the options of a network unit. Okay, that seems pretty straightforward. Okay, this configuration will instruct Ignition to create a signal network unit named 00F0 network with the contents. When the system boots the network, D will read this config and assign the IP address to F0. Ignition writes network config to disk. Statically configured interfaces will be brought online only after Ignition has run. If static IP configuration is required to download remote configs. Okay, so we don't need this section, right? So this section is about actually adding kernel command line arguments so that we can actually, when we actually boot the system before Ignition runs, we want a static IP. We don't actually care then. I don't think there's anything there that actually needs a static IP, so we'll let DHCP do its work, but we do want this section at the top. Here's something on bonded IaCs. Now, I think we actually will have to use the same trick because the problem here is that that's why I needed to do that. I needed to be able to hand out network or sort of network device names because we can't rely on it being F0, which is going to change the way things work. So I think we still need, we're going to have, I'm just wondering if we make it a list of, yeah, I think we're going to make it a list of network device names, and we're going to have a list of static IPs, and we're going to do the same trick. We're going to concat those lists and pull them out, and that will let us, I just wonder, do we need to do that? When do we need to do that? Let's see. Yes, we need to do that in here, right? So that's our installer service. Or let's just check these other container Linux YAML files. There's no network service, is there, in here? Kubelet. No. I don't think these are what we want. I think these are, oh no, hang on. Network D content. Is this already possible, perhaps? Perhaps. No, but by this stage... yeah, I think we want to do it in this base container Linux config. So I think we can just copy what happens here, systemd. So I think we can, we're going to use a similar syntax anyway. So let's put that in here. Oops, don't do that. Let's just align that. Yes, it's really not having fun with aligning this YAML. I wonder what's going on. So we're not going to actually, that's not going to be final, but that's sort of, we're going to have a network D section. And what we're going to need is, and I do have something else here about, where are we? Network D. Oh, you just provide the contents directly. Interesting. Interesting. Does that's not getting injected from somewhere else, is it? Let's just make sure. Oh no, we can have a look in the profiles. Are we passing that network D? That was in the controller config. Oh, Terraform evaluates both sides regardless. Element cannot be used on zero length lists. Length var.controller network Ds. Oh. Oh, it already provides it for us. Okay, well that's good. I think, although is that too late? I think that might be too late. I think we might actually want it. Yeah, is that documented in here? Documented in our bare metal configuration. Optional, undocumented, choice of networking provider. I think, hang on, was that thing that I noticed the other day where it said undocumented, unsupported, temporary? Yes, okay. No, let's not use those, especially if they're unofficial, undocumented, unsupported, and temporary. My god. Let's roll our own. We'll just leave those empty. And then we can be a little more specific with them. So we're going to add two lists down here. We're going to call them controller network device. Network device. And it's going to be a list network device that should be configured for static IP. And static IP that should be configured, or network device that should be configured for controller machines. You're having flashbacks from Webpack 1.x. What? Can you elaborate, Xenocron? I have used Webpack, but not in depth. And so this is going to be worker network device. Network device. That's going to be network. Let's just copy this. Should be configured for worker machines, and we're going to have the same thing for controller. So we're going to have controller static IP. Static IP. Static IP assignment for controller machines and worker static IP. Let's copy this for machines. Cool. Cool. So those are the lists we need, and then I think we also are going to need variable. Variable. We're going to need gateway address. Type is going to be string. We're going to use the there's a Terraform utility that actually will format your code for you. Like it's in here, format file. No, it didn't do what I thought it would, which was inject extra spacing in there. Okay, that's fine. Type is string, and the description is going to be address of gateway server for all machines. And let's copy this so we get that nice formatting. We're also going to need subnet mask. Subnet mask for all machines. And we're also going to need the what else do we need? Do we need the DNS server? Do we need the subnet mask? What am I missing? Subnet mask, gateway address. Yeah. DNS servers, and that's actually going to be a list. It's going to default. No, it's not going to default to anything. Oh, I gotcha. Gotcha. Everything was unofficial, unsupported, undocumented. Right, in that way. Yeah, must have been incredibly frustrating. Description, DNS servers, list of DNS servers for all machines. Right. Machines. There we go. Cool. Okay, so that's all those variables to find. So now we just have to inject those variables into our Container Linux install template. So let's go back to. So what these are effectively doing is they're just generating, like, it's just the text of the network D unit. So I think I have a sample network. Well, hang on, let's just look at writing network D units. That did not work. Network D. That's what we want. Easy. Oh, and you can even give it a. Oh, okay. Let's. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That should be fine. Oh, okay, we can configure it that way. Sweet. Yeah, that must be do some sort of multi-line thing. Interesting. And so what that means is that instead of passing in our variables, instead of having subnet mask, we should have. Ooh, what's the term for? Static IP CIDR? No, because it should be the same for everything. What's the term for the last little bit of the CIDR? Class us into domain routing. CIDR notation. What's the name for it? What's the name for it? IP address is / and a decimal number. Subnet mask. No, let's just call it subnet mask, and we'll put in the description that it has to be as static IP assignments for controller machines, worker static IP subnet mask for all machines in number of bits, e.g. for 10.0.0.1 and subnet mask of 255.255.255.0 use CIDR would be 10.0.0.1/24, so use 24. Yep, I think that's clear enough. Clear enough for our purposes anyway, because I think I'm probably going to be the only one using it. So yeah, we can inject that directly in here. It's given us the configuration for it. Copy that and chuck it in there, and we can delete that. It's not going to be eth0.network though. We're going to have to insert our $brace. So here we're going to insert the value that we need, right? So what are we going to call? We're going to call this network device. Match name is going to be $brace network device. Network. Now the only question is, how the hell do we pull these? I've got the luxury that I can pull that network device value off the machine because it's actually running right now, and I can just SSH in. How would you do it if you didn't have it and if you just had bare metal? Maybe that's not relevant because that's not actually what's going to be happening here. All right, chuck in our static IP and subnet mask and our gateway IP and DNS servers, DNS server IPs. All right, cool beans. That should do it, if I'm not mistaken. So now we just have to add to our profiles.tf. We have to actually inject those values. So we're gonna have to do them in two places. This is really strange. We have to do them in two places. I think it's to do with caching or something. If you've got, I think that's what's going on here. Is there's a cached version, and then there's the first time they're generated, and they're separated out for some reason. I don't quite see the logic in doing that, but who am I? So we're going to have here sort of similar things. So we're going to have static IP list. Static IP list is going to be equal to, and we're going to basically copy this syntax. Who's that buzzing me? I'm getting weird. I'm getting some sounds on my phone. It's other people. Oh yes, apparently AWS is live streaming right now from Dev Day in Munich. Interesting. Cool, so here we're just going to concat these other values. So controller static IP. Yeah, good. Thank God for that autocomplete. As I said, I think I said on the stream the other day, I haven't been working in an environment at work when I've been doing Terraform that I've had that autocomplete, and by God is it a bloody lifesaver here. Makes it so much easier. Never going to do that again. That's the only thing that changes per machine, right? Everything else, oh no, and sorry, we've got the network device. So I'm going to have a let's just copy this and call that network device list and concat the network device as controller network device worker network device. Cool, and so we're going to use the same trick here to inject them. We're going to say what do we call them? We're going to say network device let's just copy this network device and then pad it out to there. It's going to be network device list count.index. Now the only thing that's just occurred to me here is that this is going to work because there's only going to be one value in these lists. If we ever add another node, that'll be the true test of whether this happens the way I think it happens, where everything sort of matches up nicely, and the values that get defined down here. I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, if no, look, it should be okay. I think it should be okay. Yeah, I don't know why I'm worrying. So that's a network device. We're going to have static IP as well. Pad that out. Oops. Static IP list. And then the other values are all just static, right? They just come from the subnet mask and the gateway IP and the DNS server IPs. Let's just go DNS server IPs equals DNS server list equals, or DNS server string actually, because what we're going to do here is we're actually going to take that list of DNS servers, so they're going to provide them, and actually I should put that in documentation. DNS servers for machines, e.g. 10.0.0.1, 10.0. Let's give the canonical examples. 8 Google DNS 8888 and 8844. Although I have actually, I think on this network, I'm actually, because my router is serving as DNS resolver, and it's actually the router DNS is actually pointing to the new Cloudflare ones, which is supposedly a lot faster than the Google DNS ones. But let's just chuck those in there just because, whatever. So our profiles in here, DNS server static string, we're going to want to concat. So we're going to have to go back to our interpolation syntax. Join, is there a join method? Join, yes. Joins the list with a delimiter for a resultant string. This function only works on flat lists. Now the only thing is, what happens when you do a join on a single on a single value? And also, what happens when you've got multiple DNS servers? Let's see, how do you specify that? Network D syntax. System D, network D. Let's see, we need link, what's that property called? DNS. DNS. No, not DNSSEC, just regular DNS. DNS. This option may be, this option may be specified more than once. That's a pain. Oh, hang on. inet Python. That's a royal pain. We're going to have to put some interpolation syntax. Can we do a for loop? Ah, crap. That's going to be a royal pain. Do we just allow them to set one DNS server? I think we do. I think that's our workaround. So forget about making that a list. DNS server to use for all machines. Yeah, we're just going to make that a string. And just then we don't have to worry about it. So we can just say here, what did we call it? We called it DNS server IP. Let's change it, DNS server IP. And let's just pass in DNS server IP equals brace var.dns. Yeah, there can't. I don't. No, hang on. Look, let's have a look at this interpolation syntax again. I guess we should do it the proper way if we can. I don't know if there is a map function. There probably is. Oh, yeah, there is. So returns a map consisting of the key value pairs specified as arguments. So, oh, no, that's not doing that. That's returning like basically a set of key value pairs. It's not actually doing the map function. Yeah, I don't. There are definite limitations to this interpolation syntax. Zip map? No. Yeah, I don't know if there is. I don't know if it's that powerful. Match keys, lookup. Format list. Oh, hang on. No, that's what we want. I think. Alright, look, let's try it. Yeah, that's a good idea, Xenocron. I think we can use this format list and then do a dot join on it. Yeah, I think let's try that. So, just thinking, yeah, I think we should be able to do that. Let's give it a go. I like that you're you're encouraging me to do things the right way. DNS server string, right? And then the way we're going to do it in here is we're going to use that. Let's see, DNS server string. DNS server network D entry string entry list equals, and so what we're going to do is we're going to do $brace, and we're going to use the format function, format DNS equals %s, and then the second argument is our var dot, and then let's change this back. So DNS servers, var.dns servers, and then here we're just going to go var.dns server network or can we just do we want to do join, and what's the join syntax? Join syntax takes the delimiter first. That's not very sensible, to be honest. So new line character is the delimiter, and we want to pass DNS server network d entry list. Right, I think that'll do it. So yeah, thank you Xenocron for forcing me to do that properly. And we just need to pass out, let's put that up near the static IPs as well. Network D, we need to still pass a subnet mask. Subnet mask is just going to equal just simple one-to-one var.subnet mask, and the gateway is just the gateway IP. Gateway, what do we call it? Gateway IP. Gateway IP equals var.gateway address. Let's rename that to gateway IP. Cool. Nice. Okay, I think that'll do it. So I think that's basically the networking config done. Yeah. Oh, and we don't want that F there. Yeah, no, definitely don't want that. Just 00 dash the network device. Yeah. Cool beans. Alright, that was pretty straightforward. Status, git add dot, commit, add configurable network parameters per server. This adds the ability to specify the following configuration per server. Static IP, network device that should receive static IP. Also require the following global networking settings: net mask, subnet mask, gateway address, DNS servers. Cool. Was that it? Was that all we needed to do? I think I mentioned a few other... No. It was just the network and the static IPs and the gateway, and then the... Yeah. So I think we're done. So I'm pretty sure what we need to do is we need to push this up. Set upstream origin task add new features. It's a vague as hell name, but I think we should be fine. And I think we just need to merge to master. Oh no, look, let's test it off of here for the moment, off this branch. So we just need to modify. So I think we can close this now. We can close it for the moment. And we'll open up our home network again. And now we just need to put in this address. So it's... let me go to my GitHub. Typhoon, it's my fork. And I push to here, so let's go to... I think we just need to kind of browse. Let's set this to task add new features. Bare metal containerless Kubernetes. We just need to match this syntax for this in here. Oops. So what does it look like? Yeah. Okay, so we just pass it like that, and the ref gives the version. How does that syntax work? I think, can we just paste this directly in and see where it takes us, and then modify? Do I need to tag it? I'm not sure. Okay, let's just copy these bits in there. So instead of Poseidon, it's Nixgo. That's fine. And then let's just Google it. GitHub ref query string git refs. Where do you pass them? Ref equals we can probably just try it manually. I reckon if we go like oops I reckon if we do this, let's grab that URL and paste it into our browser. Without the closing thing. Oh, doesn't like that. What if we remove that slash? No, still doesn't like it. Could be a syntax specific to could be syntax specific to the way it's being accessed. Ref GitHub developer guide. That's not what we want. It's a GraphQL API. GitHub. Something else has captured this bloody. GitHub module. Oh, hang on. No, we want it. It's probably Terraform syntax we need. Terraform module source syntax. Terraform module source. Yeah, there we go. GitHub subdirectories can also be referenced. GitHub source Git. You can use the same parameters for GitHub repositories as generic Git repositories such as tags or branches. There we go. Ref. Okay. Yeah, you just need to put ref equals and then the branch name. Easy peasy. So here we just need to put ref equals and then we're going to put in the branch name task slash, or do we need to do we need to URL encode it? Nah, let's not. Task slash, what did we call our branch? Add new features. Task slash add new features. I don't think those are URL safe characters. Let's just URL encode to be safe. Let's just URL encode. We need to URL encode that. Did that just... Huh. The more you know. Oops, encode. Okay, they are URL. Of course, the dash is URL safe. You just need to URL encode that slash. Sweet. Put in the wrong spot. Equals. Alright, cool. Wonderful. That's really good. Now we just need to define those extra values. So what did we... Oh, I forgot to get what we called them. I'm going to have to reference back to here to see what I actually called those values, but that's alright. Variables. So we need to define all the ones that I've got down here. So controller install disk, worker install disk, controller network devices, worker network device, controller static IP, worker static IP, and then gateway subnet mask DNS server. Okay, so let me, so a few of these values we already know. We know what the static IP, well, I know what the static IPs I want to be. I know what the gateway IP, subnet mask DNS servers are, but we need the install disk and we need the network device, so I'm going to SSH into my server. I just need to figure out where the hell it is, as in what IP address it's bound to. I might just chuck up my little secrets page just while I grab that off the router, just so I don't leak too many of my router details. So just give me a second. I'm just gonna put up that secrets page. All right, I'm gonna grab that. Let's see. I have that bound to router.home.skoof.com now, which is very handy. God, I love having DNS in the local network. Ooh, I haven't shown you guys my keyboard. Oh, I'll do that in a second as soon as I've taken down that page. My keyboard is sick, so in case you don't know, I'm a big keyboard guy. I've got big plans, keyboard-wise. I may live stream some or all of that or none of it, but we'll see. It would be pretty fun. Where's that IP address? Status. LAN. I'll show you my keyboard in a sec as soon as I've got this IP address. It is 10.0.3.2.1.4. Okay, let me just type that in before I forget. Down here somewhere. 10.0.3.2.1.4. So the way I have my network, I think I can take down that little page now. Cool. Back to it. So the way I have my network set up is that 10.0.0.1 is my router, and the 10.0.0/star subnet is going to be reserved for networking devices. Then 10.0.1.1 is the server, and other servers on 10.0.1.2, etc. 10.0.2.1 is my desktop and other static machines, and then 10.0.3 DHCP. So we're looking for, so this has gotten arranged in the DHCP range, which is what we want. So I'm just going to SSH into it now. Oh, I'm going to show you my keyboard, aren't I? Let's bring up the big camera. Keyboard time. So this is the keyboard that I'm using. I don't know if you can see that well, but it is a Poker 3. Oh, let's get that cable out of the way. It's a Poker 3 with Cherry MX greens, and it's got this like Symbiosis keycap set. You can see I'm missing a couple of the keys, but it's sort of based on this awesome old Lisp machine. So you can see it's got extra kind of symbols on the keys. I love it to bits. Double shot ABS. It costs $1.50, but I absolutely love it. The keys are really cool, or the switches are really cool. Cherry MX greens, they're really clicky, which is why you can hear them and they're kind of stiff. But I have these. These are called Box Navies, and they're amazing. I don't know if you can. I'm going to click them right near the... they're very, very clicky. I'm going to click them right near the microphone. Can you hear that? They're exceedingly clicky. Anyway, I'm thinking of desoldering them from this keyboard and putting in new ones, but I guess we'll see at some point. But yeah, keyboard. Love keyboards. Big into keyboards. If you want to chat keyboards, more than happy to. Cool. So, back to this. We need to SSH to that machine. So I'm going to SSH core at 10.0.3.2.1.4, did we say? I'm going to have to start my SSH agent again. Really need to sort that out because I'm going to be SSHing a lot. I need to stop having to do this every damn time. I need to have it running persistently in the background. But for the moment, this will do. Let me do SSH add tilde dot SSH slash, and then that key we provisioned, and then I should be able to go. Yes, we're in. Cool. So ifconfig, that'll give us the network device, and here it is. Yep, that one's disconnected, so ENP3S4FO. So that's our network device, so we can go back to our Terraform and we can paste that in. And we're also going to need the disk device. So we should be able to, I did have information persistent block. Yeah, here we go. We do ls-l dev disk by ID. Paste. Cool. Oh, interesting. Oh, no, that's okay. It's just giving us the different names. Cool, and so these WWN names. Let's just take these ones, right? So that's the device we want, that dev SCA. That's where the that's where we've already installed. You can see because it's got all these 9 partitions. Those sort of that Chrome OS partitioning scheme I was talking about, where CoreOS does the same thing. It actually creates a bunch of partitions, and what that allows is it allows like hot reload. So it'll update the OS. Maybe not hot, but it'll update the OS in the background without messing with anything. And then when you reboot, you're just running a new version of the OS. So that's the device name we need. So let's paste that back in here, and we're good. And I think that means we're good to start provisioning the cluster, or just the server, because it's not really a cluster. Can exit out of that. Nice. Xenocron, Cherry MX greens are pretty stiff. I'm not much of a gamer, so I don't really mind, and I definitely don't play twitchy sort of games, if ever. I play occasional bits of TF2, but not for a very long time. I used to back in the day. So yeah, Cherry MX greens are very stiff, but that's the way I like it. I'm very used to them now. And I've got, yeah, I'm very used to them. And so are those navy things that I showed. Cool, so we've got those three now. I just need to fill in our values. So the values will be defined in here. So let's copy them all in so I don't have to keep switching back and forth. So we're going to need controller install disk. No, I'm still going to have to switch back and forth. Controller install disk. Controller install. Should really be install disks, shouldn't it? Yeah, it really should be. I'm going to rename those. Yeah, I'll do that after I've done this, and then we'll push it up, and then we'll get it provisioning. Controller install disks. Controller network devices. Controller network devices. And controller static IPs. And then we need the same for the workers. Oh, I'm still in big picture. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Xenocron. Sorry. Here we go. Thanks for pointing that out. I'm still learning. Cool. And then we're going to have to do the same thing for the workers. So let's just copy these and paste them down here. But we're not actually going to use them, right? They're just going to be empty lists. That's fine. And then we're going to have oh, I should change those to be worker, oops, worker, cool, and we don't want that. Gateway IP subnet mask DNS servers. Gateway IP equals subnet mask equals oops and DNS servers. Now why did I make that a plural? And yeah, man, variable naming is always important. Okay, so our controller net install disks is this, but with a dev slash disk slash by ID slash and then oops, it doesn't. My Vim skills are failing me. That's better. Right, I think that's the right syntax. Dev disk by ID, yes. I'm hoping it likes that. I'm hoping it's not expecting /dev/SDA or some variable thereof. I think it should be okay. And then that's our network device. So let's just yank and paste it in there. Sweet, and then our static IP, oops, and actually let's bring that back just so I don't forget, because I'm going to have to run some commands on it to reboot it and network boot it in a second. 10, 0, and this is going to be 1, 1. Cool. And then we're done. We just got to fill in these values. So the gateway IP here is 10.0.0.1, and our subnet mask is it's actually /16, right? Because we're assigning things up into this range. So it's a /16 that I've got for my home network. And the DNS server is just 10.0.0.1. Again, it's the same as the gateway. I guess we could provide fallback. Yeah, look, let's do this just for fun. No. It's going to get, yeah, we want everything to go through that DNS server. I guess it's providing a single point of failure, but if my router isn't working anymore, nothing's going to be working, so we should be fine. Cool. Let me just go in and change. Let's match the syntax here. Oh, sorry, not match the syntax. Match the style. There we go. Cool. Let's save. Let's just go back into our Typhoon project. Let's just update these names. So we want to update in the variables. You just want to Thank God for that refactory name. Controller install disks, worker install disks, controller network devices, worker network devices, and controller static IPs, worker static IPs. Done. Cool. Let's just commit that. Commit update variable naming to use plurals where needed. That will do. Push that up. Oops. Sweet. And we should be ready to rock and roll. So, before let's go, actually we'll close, we'll open this home network. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, I think everything is, I still need that, but I won't need that for much longer. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this IPMI tool. Yeah, the IPMI tool, it's sort of an out-of-band management tool, so it basically allows you to control the machine over the network, which is ultra useful because I don't have to then I do have the machine plugged into I've only got one monitor at the moment. I'm going to buy another one at some point. But I do have it plugged into my monitor so I can switch inputs. Obviously, you're not going to be able to see that. But what I don't want to have to do is plug a keyboard into it and have to fiddle around in the BIOS changing device parameters. So you can use this IPMI tool, LAN plus, it's -I. That's the mode, is LAN plus, -H. We've got to put the IP in here. 3214 -u administrator, and I think hopefully it's going to prompt for the password when I do this because I don't want to type the password out to you guys. And we do a chassis boot dev pxe. Yep, cool. So masked password, which is what I want, and hopefully this actually works. That's not promising. I wonder if it doesn't obey it because it's switched on. So if I just switch it... Oh, actually I can SSH in and switch it off. Yeah, let's do that. Oh, I've already done that. I want to... that. Shut down -p now. I probably need to sudo it. Cool, so that's shutting down. So we should be able to... Now, when it's switched off, I've actually configured the network device and the IPMI, the sort of out-of-band management, to use a static IP. So we're going to have to change the IP there to its eventual static IP, which is .1.1. We can even go via hostname if we're going to get really fancy. I think that's at node1.home.scoof.com. I typed my password wrong. Typed wrong again. There we go. So yeah, so it's working now. Set boot device to Pixie. So for the first boot, we want it to boot to the Pixie device. And then we just need to do a power on. And it should boot up. And it has. You can't see it, but I can hear it booting up. It'll probably make a whole bunch of noise. So if you hear a bunch of fans whirring in the background, don't worry, it's just the server. And it'll beep when it's hit the screen that we needed to hit. In the meantime, what we're going to do is we're actually going to run our Terraform apply from here, because it does need to SSH at some point. So it has to be running. It has to have the SSH agent running in the background. So let's go code. Home network Terraform and Terraform apply. If we've done everything properly, or Terraform init. It doesn't like that. Error parsing SkoufHome.tf expected got float 3511. Oh, it doesn't like that. Yes, no wonder. Okay, back to this. Try again. Yeah, cool. So it's initting from our module. There you go. There's a fan kicking off. Sounds like a jet engine. Cool. It's initialized. We should be able to do a Terraform apply now. Oh, it doesn't like something. If this is part of inline template parameter. Oh, I've stuffed something up. Oh, yeah, okay, I've stuffed something up in the actual module. Okay, we're going to have to go back to our module and fix those things up. So what's it complaining about? It's complaining that... oh, I also forgot to add those to the other part. So yeah, we definitely need to fix that up. Forgot to add that to the cached container. Actually, I'm going to power off that machine. Where's our IPMI? We can do power soft, which does a soft power off. There it goes, it's off now. Cool. Just because we don't want it, I don't really want it sitting there doing nothing, booting in the background. Take a drink of water. How are we doing? Hour and a half in. Alright, we got plenty of time. What was I going to do? That's right, I was going to go back here and fix this up. So whatever the problem is here, we'll see if we can fix it. Invalid variable syntax. It's suggested better variable syntax. Okay, we should be able to find that pretty easily. Where does it not like that? Where have I left up? Ah, here. Is that a var? Var dot? No. We might need to define those as variables. These are basically derived variables. Var. That's not the syntax either. I don't really want to do those in line. How are they done down here? I've completely forgotten how to do this. It's been a while, to be honest. I think the way we do it is we just Terraform variables, configuring input local values. That's what we want. Local values are defined in locals blocks. Ah. Named locals can be merged with local maps to implement common or default values. Locals block. Oh yeah, so we should be able to just go like this. Can we do it in line here? Can we go locals? No. No. So we should just do it at the top here, right? The benefit, I guess, here is that we only need to define these local variables once. So all of these, and we don't have to redefine them in that block below. So we've defined them down here, but we don't have to redefine these things in the block below. We can just reuse these variables. And how do we use them? Just as normal. Local dot. Oh, that's pretty nice. So we just go local. I haven't actually used that before. I wonder if that's new in a recent version of Terraform or something. Oops. Local dot. Local dot. Alright, so it's just these sub and subnet mask and gateway IP. Yeah. And then this should be actually renamed. It should just be DNS server entries. Entries. Should we change that in here? What did I call it? DNS server entries. I didn't even match it anyway. Let's just make sure they all match. Static IP subnet mask gateway IP. Static IP subnet mask gateway IP. Yeah, that's all fine. Cool. So I can just, oops, little misalignment there. Cool. I can just copy all of these. Copy and paste them back down in this cache section. Nice. And I can remove that from there. That should be good to go. Okay. Let's push that up again. There's probably a way to refer locally to a module, but whatever. It's good. It's good habit. Commit update to use local variables. This updates this module to use local variables for some derived data. Previous configuration, previous syntax was actually invalid, but this is also cleaner because we avoid having to repeat ourselves. Let's say repeat ourselves between the cached and regular template generation. Cool. Push that up. And then I should just try my Terraform apply again. I think I changed the name of anything. Yeah. Terraform apply. Nope, it doesn't like that either. Oh, hang on, I have to do a Terraform init again to pull down the new version of the module. Do I? I think I do. rm.terraform. Yeah, it's going to pull it down again. We should probably refer to a specific commit there, or what I'll do is once I've finalized it, I'll merge it to master, and then I'll refer to a specific commit of master, I think. And that should be good. Terraform apply. Let's see if it likes it now. No. Oh. Incorrect types. Ah. Got string. Local DNS server network D entry list. Oh. Do we still... am I misunderstanding how something works? I think I am. It's referring to the same thing, right? Well, we fixed the other issues. I mean, that's good. It's always good. This, it doesn't like that. So where have we defined that? Well, we ran format on a list. Does it automatically concat them or something? Maybe we don't want to put it in a string. Maybe we're just going to go like that. No, that's not valid syntax. Let's look up our interpolation syntax again. So how does the format function work? Oh, sorry, we want format list. Format list. That's why. That'll do it. Format list. Ref equals commit hash. Yeah, I'm sure we can. And that'll ensure that we actually update properly. For the moment. Oh, no, look, let's use the commit hash. That probably is a good idea, just in case we do updates. Well, because now we're going to have to update it again, right? So use format list instead of plain format. This will allow us to concatenate our DNS entries with new line characters. Push, and then grab the commit. No, look, I'll just init it again because we're going to merge it to master anyway. It's not. I don't know if it's worth changing to use the commit hash when I can just rm-rf.terraform and then Terraform init again, so it'll pull the version. And then Terraform apply, and hopefully it works. And then it'll just sit there, and then we can kick off our bootstrapping again. Or in fact, I might start up the server and then kick this off again, just so that we don't have to redo. Hey, it likes it. Maybe? Oh, did I break something? Oh, I think I've broken it because the state rm terraform.tf state rm terraform to state backup rm-rf.terraform. Cool. Now we should be starting from a clean slate, which technically we kind of are, right? We'll just pretend that that server doesn't actually have anything installed on it. Terraform init, and then Terraform apply, and hopefully it all works. Yeah, I can see it uses that hash. I don't have anything against using the hash. I'm just trying to avoid using it right now because I think we're done. Like, if I thought I was going to have to keep making updates, then yeah, I would use the hash. But what I'll do in a second, if this actually works, is I'll merge that add new features branch to master, and then I'll just refer to... Oh, actually, no. I see what you're saying. Yeah, maybe I'll merge it to master, and then I'll use the master commit hash, and I'll refer to that directly, and then we should be golden. Or I could even use a ref, like a release version. But yeah, no, I might do that actually in just a second. Okay, that looks like it's working. Cool. Sweet. So let's use our IPMI tool again to let's go chassis boot dev pixie, and then I'll go power on, and then I'll run my Terraform apply. Cool, it's booted up, and then oh, it says failed, but it didn't because I can. Let me tell you, I can hear it. Oh, okay. You're curious to see what comes out of this? Yeah, dude, it's well. I'll try and show you it as it goes. But it's actually pretty damn cool. Let's run our Terraform apply here. Yeah, I'm not a Git guru either. I think it will as well, but I could be wrong. In fact, you know what? I'm actually not going to run Terraform apply yet. That can just sit there in the background. I'm going to actually merge everything into master. I'm going to follow. So when we do Terraform at work, we follow a pretty strict process, which is that we no, we should be fine. Let's git checkout master git merge task / add new features merged, and then our log shows, yeah, you're right, the commit shard does stay the same. Very good call. Let's copy that shard, and we should be able to close this for the moment. Close project and open our home network, and then here that ref is going to be our commit char. We should just be able to paste, go away. What's the commit char? Paste. Cool. And now we're going to go back to here. I'm going to do a Terraform init, and it's going to grab it from that commit char. Good. That's what we want. And then I'm actually going to do a commit. So add dot git commit. Update variables for new features added to module. added some new features to the Terraform module. We rely on to bootstrap our machines and Kubernetes to allow us to declare a static IP, static install device, persistent volume, persistent device naming, and other network features such as gateway, IP, DNS servers, and subnet mask. This adds the required variables to this module, required variables for those new features. Cool. Terraform apply. Yes, we want to apply that. Sweet. Ooh, I shouldn't have shown that. Actually, I'm going to do that again. And I'm going to stick up my entering secrets page, because those are all my private keys and I don't really want you to see those. So let's just clear that. I hope it regenerates them. Yeah. I'll just delete my .terraform. /a/f.terraform. Probably the first of many secret reveals that we're going to have on this channel. Hopefully not too many. So Terraform apply, and I might just hide that window and create a new one. In fact, I'm going to stick that over on my first display just so I don't accidentally show it again, because that could be annoying. Oops, that's not what I want to do. That. So I'll show you it starting up, and then actually I might just stick up my secrets page just to make it easier. Oh, and that's somehow crept up. Alright, just give me 1 second. All I'm doing is running a Terraform apply. I just don't really want you to see those private keys, so just give me 1 sec. Terraform apply. Oh, I've got it init again. Terraform init, and then Terraform apply. Just bear with me 1 moment while I pop up these secrets, and then we should be good to go. The other thing I'm going to do, I'm actually going to power off and then power back on the server just to make 100% sure that it's actually done its work. So where's my IPMI tool? Chassis boot dev pixie. Oops. It should still be in pixie boot. Okay, cool. Off it goes. Alright, now I can get rid of that secret to you. Cool. So, actually, I'm just going to... You'll still be able to see my face. You'll be able to see my reaction. I'm actually just going to switch over to my second device. You can't see that. I'm just switching input sources on my monitor just to make sure it's still... Because I can tell... Ah, yes, it has actually... Oh, no, crap. No. It's actually booted. I think it's booted all the way to the OS. So I'm just going to power it off again, set the boot device... Oh, unless... I'm just going to do it again, just for fun. Just to make sure it's... make sure everything's working properly. So let me just crack another terminal here. I'm just going to power it off, just to make sure it's all going okay. I don't want it to be sort of in a strange state. So IPMI tool... IPMI tool -I LAN plus -H 10011-U administrator chassis. I think it needs to be a capital A. Chassis boot dev pixie. It doesn't seem to like that. I'm just going to power it off. Oh no, it worked. And then I should be able to do a power soft. Power soft. Yep, soft power off, and then a power on. Yeah, this is just to make sure that it actually is booting in, and we can actually check that, and I'll show you how we check that in a minute. We can actually have a look at the Matchbox logs, and it should tell us what's going on. Now it is not powering off, which could mean it's in the middle of an install. No, it can't be, because it didn't boot that. It can't have booted that quickly, because the boot takes quite a while. It has to fetch things over the network for IHTTP from Matchbox. So it must have booted into its regular... yeah, it can't have booted that fast. Let's just give it a second to turn off. Let me switch inputs again just to see what it's doing. Input source. I wish you could see this, but unfortunately, oh yeah, no, it has turned. It's rebooted. Okay, because I can see the BIOS screen. Let's just see if it. You're not going to see much for a second. I'm just going to see if it is actually booting into Pixie mode. I'm just going to monitor it. I wish you could see this. It'd be great if you could. I guess I could take the webcam off and point it at the screen, but then I'd have to recenter the webcam. Okay, so it's booting. Is it booting into network boot? I'll know in about 1 second. No, it's booted into the grub menu. It's installed CoreOS. Interesting. It's booting CoreOS, it says. Okie dokie. Look, that's alright. I'll just let it boot, and then I'll send it a soft power off, and then... Interesting. That's cool. I do want to reprovision this because I think it needs it. I don't think it's actually installed. It can't have installed that fast. It can't have, because the install the other night took bloody ages, so it must be booting off the existing file system, which is not good. Yes, and it's actually got a static IP, so clearly it didn't work. Alright, cool. So let's switch back. We'll send a soft power off, and then I'll set the so power soft. Right. Hopefully it actually shuts off, and when it's actually shut off, yeah, it's shut off. I just heard it shut off. And then I'll send it a chassis boot dev pixie, and then a chassis, and then a power on. Cool. Okay, it's on. So hopefully now, in fact, you know what? I'm gonna, again, apologies for this being so boring for you guys. I am just gonna monitor it in a second as it boots. Or no, you know what? Actually, we don't need to do that. I can see from here. So I think I can do a sudo journal control -f-u matchbox. Let's type my password wrong. I can hear it going absolutely nuts. Ah, yes, okay, this is what we want. So what we're viewing here is reviewing the logs from Matchbox. So you remember that Matchbox is the server that is serving over the network the boot images for the machine to boot from. So what we should see here is we should see an entry. Oh, actually, maybe it did install tonight. Yeah, it did. Huh. Anyway, what we should see in a second, and I can hear the fan going nuts, so that must mean that it's doing its power on self-test, and hopefully soon it will give me a little beep that means that it's booted, and it should. What we should see in a second is we should see the server booting. We should see an entry there similar to this one here, this boot.ipixie. So that's the first thing that it loads. Then you can see it loads this ipixie, and it loads the it passes its MAC and its host name and stuff like that. And then if it gets further, it actually passes this OS equals installed, and that means it's actually gotten to the installation step. I think. Yep, there it is. So it's got boot.ipixie and it's booted, and then it's passed this. Okay, so it's working now. Awesome. So that should just provision in the background, and eventually what will happen is it'll actually connect to this server, and I think we should be safe to, let me just pop up my secret screen for a second, but I think we should be safe to, okay, not quite safe yet. I will show you when it's safe. I'll keep doing that until it's safe. On that, just on that tab or that virtual desktop that I had that other thing where there were all the secrets. You see, it's requesting boot.ipixie again. Why has it done that? Anyway, I'm sure it knows what it's doing. And yeah, what should happen is that once that first page with the Terraform apply is, once it's scrolled enough, because what it's saying now is just saying over and over again, waiting to copy controller secrets. Eventually, what we should see is we should see this thing boot up, and we should see it start copying those controller secrets over from there, and that'll install Kubernetes, and then it'll be up and running, and then we're really pretty much good to go. I'm just going to pop over, and I'm just going to switch device again. I'm just concerned that I think if we made a configuration mistake at all, I think what would happen is possibly we would just keep rebooting into PXE boot mode. Oh no, I can see on the other, can see on the input that's connected to it, it is doing something. It's sort of those scrolling with the timestamps on the left in brackets, those sort of kernel boot messages. Oh yeah, it's made it to a localhost login, and it's at yeah, it's and it's at the static IP we assigned it, which is good. I think now we can actually SSH. So we can stop tailing that, and I think we can SSH port 2222 debug at node1.home.scoof.com. I need to launch bloody SSH agent again, don't I? Yes, I do. That's annoying. SSH add ~/.sh. Cool, and then we should be able to SSH in. No. Can we SSH as core? Yes, we can. And I think here, so there are instructions on how to watch the install process in here. Apply power. Yes, and you can view the where is it? Bootstrap. To watch the install to disk, SSH to port 2222. We should just see. Okay, so we should just be seeing things. Yeah, we should just see things happen here. Unless it's already installed. No. Can't have reinstalled because then the SSH reverts to the regular port. Yes. So, when this is done, we should see at some point, it should post some things to the screen, and then we'll see the session be ended because it means that the install to disk is finished. I'm just going to flip over to the other screen and see if I can see any errors. Or, no, hang on, isn't there instructions on here and what to have a look at? Yeah, journal the logs. That's what we do. Oh, no, sorry, that's a boot cube. I think we can just have a look at sudo journal control-f. Yeah, there we go. I think we can just have a look at, I think this is what I did last time. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we can just look at this here, and this will show us, I think this will show us what's going on in the server. Yeah, from memory, we just sort of looked at this log, and by the end, there you go. See, it's, oh, crap. Something bad happened. But look, that's progress. Okay, so that means we stuffed up something in our configuration, but that's okay. Or is it? Or is that normal? I think that could well be... I think I saw this last time. Yeah, I think that actually is normal. I'm trying to remember. That I know that looks very abnormal and there's big red text, but what happened was that last time I think there was something similar, and I got similar looking errors, and then I googled them and it said no, that's normal, and then the server just continued to boot up fine. I'm just gonna hop over to my little entering secrets page and see if it's... yeah, okay, cool. So I can take that down. So you can see this is over here. This is the Terraform apply, and it's showing that it's just, you know, it's just like looping. What it's waiting for is it's waiting for that server to come up, and when it comes up, let me just see what it's doing. I'm just going to switch to that VGA input. Yes, it has rebooted. So in theory, what's going to happen now is it's going to come up, and that Terraform apply screen is actually going to stop looping, and it's going to show it copying things. And I should probably pop up the secrets page for that, just because it might show... yep, it's just beeped, which means it's going to reach the target device. Let's just I'm just going to pop that up, and it's just going to see if it's going to start copying things in a second. I think it should. If it's installed properly, it should be able to start copying the controller secrets over. Let's see if I can SSH into it. Hopefully it'll start copying these secrets in a second. Let me just go back to the main desktop view. Let's just SSH in there. What's going on? Something's stolen my focus again. More secrets. No, it hasn't popped up anything yet, but it might still be... ah, that's right, it does actually take some time to boot. It's not just as soon as I hear the little beep, which means it's done posting. Let me just hop over to the screen. Yes, it looks like it's booting all by itself. Oh, it has booted with a dynamic IP though. Oh, I think I know what the issue is. Yeah, I think there's some flag we have to set to make sure that those values are actually copied. Okay, we might have to kill this again. Yeah, I think I'm going to kill it. I think I'm going to power soft. Just turn that server off again. I think we stuffed up because we do need it to come up. Thing is that this controller secrets copying uses the host name. So if it comes up with a static IP, that's the whole... sorry, back to the main desktop view. That's the whole reason why we're assigning the static IP. So if it's not taking, which it didn't look like it was, that's kind of annoying, and that means it's not going to work properly. So where was this here? The hardware, it is a HP ProLiant ML330 G6. It's got 12 gig of RAM. It's got a Xeon processor. There is a mezzanine board which you can add in, which adds a second processor socket and another 9 DIMM slots for RAM, which I'm hoping that I can possibly find. I don't really know if I need it, but it would be really nice to be able to find that. So yeah, that's the hardware. So reasonably beefy. I got it for a very good price. It only cost me a couple $100 Australian, so that was really good. Now, I'm very puzzled because I would have thought that this configuration we've used would actually do what I expected it to do, which is copy it to the machine so that when it booted up, it didn't start with a dynamic IP again. So unless I've stuffed things, this is a little puzzling. We may have hit another roadblock. I wonder if there's a way of doing it from here. Container Linux config. Let's Google a little bit. So container Linux ignition static IP. Turn off DHCP on specific interface. Ah, Okay. Yeah, look, it probably is. The only reason I chose something with so much RAM and so beefy, like I could have just used a normal desktop. In fact, if anything, my current desktop is kind of underpowered. I could actually use a new one. I could have just used the hardware from that. The reason I chose something really heavy is because I know Kubernetes needs lots of memory. It's very memory hungry because it's running a bunch of containers. So I picked something with a bunch of memory. I might even put more in there if I need it. I've just heard that when I was researching this, I know there's lots of people that have used Raspberry Pis for them, and I've heard they've run into problems with memory constraints. And people have used like x86 stick PCs, those little sort of PCs on a stick that you plug in to a HDMI port and use in like a TV or something. And again, they've only got 2 gig of memory, a lot of them, and they've run into memory constraints. So I'm trying to avoid that. But yeah, you're totally right, Xenocron. It is pretty damn beefy. I probably don't really need it. Okay. Static network. That is what I want. Configure multiple IP addresses. No, we don't want that. Debugging network D. Maybe I should just power it on. Yeah, I may actually do that. Alright, time to power it on again. Because yeah, I thought I'd done it correctly with a static network. Maybe something got stuffed up. Alright, power it on again. I just powered it on manually this time because it is sitting literally right to my left. Or just to my left. So let's just let it boot up again, and then let's SSH in and see if we can see anything of interest. Try and debug the network deconfiguration, because there's interesting stuff down here. So you can enable debugging manually, or you can... Oh, we don't really need to enable debugging. We just need to probably just inspect our systemd networkd.service. Just see if anything out of the ordinary is in there. Out of the ordinary, as it were. Drink of water. Cool. Well, look, this is going reasonably well. That configuration that I added, hopefully is working nicely. Definitely nothing is complaining along the way, because the ignition config is getting passed over. The fan's going nuts, so I think that means it's almost done posting. Man, it's loud. Very, very, very loud. Yes. So yeah, once it boots up, I'm going to SSH in, and we'll see if there's something that looks strange at all. There you go, there's that little beep. It means that it's hit the, well, it's finished booting. And it's gonna, well, it's finished the post, it's gonna start booting. And so now we just use a standard SSH port instead of 2222. There's some reason why. I think it has to use 2222 so that it can let something else SSH. Oh. Interesting. Has it come up with a static IP? No. Let me switch over. Sorry again. Apologies for having to use my second display input source that you guys can't see. So it is booting. It looks like it's just doing a standard boot. It looks like something is installed. Now, if this actually boots up with the static IP, no, it's booted up with a dynamic IP again. Okay. 10.0.3.2.1.6. That's not what we want at all. Unless it grabs a static... Oh... Unless it grabs a static IP to begin with, and then it starts... No, I don't think so. 10.0.3.2.1.6. Okay. 10.0.3.2.1.6. Okay, we're in. Let's have a look at this file. Cat that. No such file directory. System slash systemd/network/ there's nothing in there. Now that'll be what's doing it. Why didn't that network d config get oh ah, yes, I think I know what the issue is. I think we did, in fact, remember that time where there was that unsupported thing? I think that's the issue. I think we need to just replace that. Yeah, that'll be it. Okay, I'm going to power off this machine again. We're going to have to start again, I think, but that's okay. Exit. It didn't take very long, so we should be good. We should be able to fix it pretty soon. Okay, so we're going to do a chassis. Yeah, it's off. Chassis boot dev pixie, so when it comes up again, we'll be ready to go. Okay, so the issue is that I think we've actually added it to the wrong location in our Typhoon, in our module config, right? So remember before we were looking at here and we saw that network D content, and it said, yeah, that unsupported, undocumented, temporary thing. Pretty sure that's where we're supposed to go. So I think what happens is it installs, and then when it boots after that, it actually injects the value from there. So look, on the one hand, that makes things easier, but oh god, that's frustrating. So it's hilarious. Yeah. All right, cool. So in that case, you know what? I don't like I'm just going to rip their syntax out. Or no, I'm not going to rip their syntax out. I'm going to leave it alone, but I'm going to inject my own. So I'm going to use my own little, the way I set it up in here. So we're going to basically take all of this, the holy trinity of bugs. Yeah, I know. How frustrating. And we spotted it right to begin with, and we thought, nah, let's leave it alone. Damn, that's very frustrating. Anyway, so I'm just going to replace that with that block. And as I said, I don't really care if the first time it boots up. Or actually, no, you know what? Let's just leave it the way it is. We're just going to inject the values slightly differently in the profiles. Yeah. So let's undo that here. Let's leave that alone. So I think what will happen now is it's going to just boot up with a static IP all the time, which is really what we want. So in the profiles, we just have to, we're going to have to, the host name to the node's IP, that's happening. So my router runs DDWRT, and it has DNS mask. And so you can just use DNS or DNS mask or whatever it's called. It's spelt like DNS mask, like that. It just uses that to map the host name to the IP. It's just a DNS server that's running on my router. And I've just pointed my machine's DNS server to my router. So yeah, that's how I'm doing it. Thanks for the question, Xenocron. And thank you for watching. Thank you for watching this whole time. Thank you for everybody else that's watching. I really, really appreciate it. Appreciate your support. Appreciate all the follows. Appreciate all the love. Appreciate the comments. If you can jump in the comments and have a chat, ask questions. Feel free to ask questions. I love questions. I love explaining what's going on. And it's much more fun for everybody involved. Everybody knows what's happening. Cool. So I think what I can do now is I can just go, those are fine. We're going to need all of these. We're just going to need to modify them slightly. So I don't think we need the installed disk anymore. We just need these other networking bits and pieces. Network device, static IP, server entries. Yeah. Copy that, and we're going to go down to our profile for the controllers. Is there a cached version as well? I would almost certainly bet that there is. Paste. So here, instead of our local.network device list, we're actually going to pull this out of var.controller network devices. Same thing here. It's going to come out of var.controller static IPs. And then here, DNS server entries is going to come out of var. What's the answer to life? Barney Rubble? A very good question. I don't know the answer to that one. Probably 42. Uh, yes, you've got me there. Maybe I can't answer all the questions, but I can try. But thanks for watching, Barney Rubble, and thanks for the question, even if I couldn't really answer it. Oh no, we can just use that local. That's cool. Yeah, we don't need anything other than that because that's static. Yeah, these three values are static. So here we just have to take. So we're just gonna have to take this and adjust it to be the Oh, and we've stuffed up our spacing. Oops. It's got to be 42, right, guys? Hitchhiker's Guide. Great times. What's my football team? Are we talking? I'm not a big sports guy at all, as you can tell. Probably, maybe one of the hints would have been the fact that I'm live streaming coding on Twitch. But in Australian rules football, I nominally follow the old St Kilda Saints, but I couldn't even tell you the last time I watched a football game. Soccer-wise, I mean, I'm Greek, so I like watching the world when the World Cup's on. I'll follow the Greek team a little bit. I'll follow the Australian team. I do quite enjoy watching soccer, or football, as you guys call it over in Europe. But yeah, not super into sports. But again, dude, appreciate the questions. Very happy to answer them. Here, this is going to be worker network devices, and that's going to be worker static IPs. And I think that should do it. Cool. So I'm going to do that good old cardinal sin of committing directly to master, because YOLO, because it's 11:15. But I think that'll do it. I think that will do it. Yeah, that looks right to me. You're Mexican and don't... I'm not Mexican. I'm not Mexican. I'm Australian. And I don't... I don't know where you got Mexican from. Okay. I think that's the right network deconfig. Yeah, because all we're doing here is instead of pulling it out of that joined list, we're just pulling it out of the static list, and these are static anyway. Okay, I think we should be good. So I'm gonna commit this. South of the border. Oh, I see. Are you in the States, Barney Rubble? Yeah, okay, I guess so. I guess I'm Mexican in that way. Guess you could call us like... I guess there are deserts in Mexico. You could call us like spider Mexicans or something. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I am south of the border. That's very true. So I'm going to write here update module to apply network D units after Core OS install. This updates the templates for the controller and worker ignition config to use the network D unit we defined as part of the main container Linux install. This allows the workers and controllers to have the same static IP even after they install the OS and reboot. Cool. So let's push that up to master. Straight to master. Yes, I see Barney Rubble. Interesting. Git log. So we're going to grab that commit char again. I'm going to have to do a Terraform apply again, but that's okay. So, Q here. Let me go over to this and I'll just kill this. Yeah. See, you can see it says handshake failed, right? It's failed to open a connection to the server. Oh, you actually probably couldn't see that, but that's all good. So cool, we'll close this. And then we'll update this commit char. Paste, save, and then again I'm going to run my, I'm just going to put my secrets, I'll just do a commit, update, Terraform, update bare metal module. This updates the bare metal module to the latest version, which supports providing the static networking details to the workers and controllers, not just to the core OS install. Oops. How do you do bloody... I always forget how to do redo in Vim. Vim redo. Undo. Control R. That's it. Good old Vim. Control R. Yeah, that's what we want. Okay, cool. And I'll just stick up my secret screen again briefly just while I do that Terraform apply. Terraform apply. Terraform init. Yeah, so it has to fetch the version of that bare metal module again, and then we can do our Terraform apply. Cool. Cool. Go for it. Alright, cool, it's applying. Alright, back to our desktop view. Cool, and so now I can go back to here and I can run my power on. And I can hear it booting up. Good stuff. Alright, so hopefully this one will actually work. So while that's going on, I'm just thinking, what can we do? Do I want to sort of watch that? Yeah, look, let's watch that. Watch that all happen. Yeah, let's watch that all happen. So let's tail that sudo journal control journal control. Oop. Journal control. There we go. Dash F for tail dash U matchbox. Cool. Okay, so we should see fresh timestamps with it first getting... Yeah, so you can see... yes, right, okay. Yeah, again, I'm clearly forgetting all the stages of this boot because... so what you can see here is first thing it does is it gets boot.ipxi. This is because the sort of network boot environment that's installed on this system by default is Pixie, PXE, and it needs to get IPXE because that enables it to get things via HTTP. So first it gets boot.ipxi, then it calls this IPXE endpoint, and it passes its UID and stuff, and then it calls ignition. This is the first call to ignition. This is what gets the OS. Right, and that's where it installs Core OS. Then, when it boots up again, it makes another request to ignition, and that's where it gets OS, and it passes OS equals installed, and that's what bumps it into that worker or controller initialization phase. So we can wait for all of those, and then I think once all of those have happened, then that's when it starts... that was disgusting. I gotta remember that people can it's the remix to Ignition. It is indeed Barney Rubble. I gotta remember that people are watching me right now. I kind of just randomly pick my ears. Apologies for that. That was quite disgusting. So yes, once it's gone through all of those stages, then it should boot, and then in theory we should be able to have a look at that first. You're playing auto mod. What do you mean? Not sure what that means, Barney Rubble. Please elaborate. Once it's gone through all those stages, we should then be able to see the control plane and Kubernetes bootstrapping, and hopefully it'll all be on a static IP, and then we're golden, and then we're just ready to play with Kube. And I'm done. This server is provisioned from nothing to something very quickly. Has it made its beep yet? Don't you worry. Okay, I'm not worrying. Appreciate you guys all watching. Appreciate you all sticking with me. There's going to be many, many more cool things to come. While we're waiting for that to happen, man, my cup runneth over with ideas for this stream. So I think I mentioned the other day, but in case you weren't watching, I've got many ideas for what I want to work on this stream. So obviously, all my infrastructure as code stuff is really interesting, and getting to use... did it come up? Maybe it didn't actually boot with Pixie. Let me just switch to my other display and see what's going on. Because we should have seen something by now. Should have seen an indication that it's booting. No, it hasn't booted with Pixie. That's annoying. Alright, let's try again. 10.03.216 is where it's at. So I'm going to have to use IPMI tool to set Pixie boot again. So... Oh, no. We want to run PMI tool -i lamb plus -h 10.03.216 we said. Administrator chassis boot dev Pixie. Nope, that was the wrong IP, I suspect. Unless it sort of returns in a second. You'll see it because I'm just switching to the other input source. 10.03.216. Is that what I put in there? 10.03.216. 10.03.216. Let's can we do a power soft? Power soft. Barney Rubble, expect to see you at Sec conferences. SecCon is next on the list. When's that, Barney? I'm keen to go. I don't know a whole lot about security, but I'm very interested in it. I love watching talks from I always make sure to watch some of the talks from the CCC every year, the Chaos Computer Congress in Germany. It's always really good fun. So hey, look, I'll come to OzSecCon. Yeah, I'm about to start a new job in a couple of weeks. Maybe I can get them to send me. But yeah, dude, I'll come for sure. I need to start going to more conferences. My current, soon-to-be former employer was slightly lax with the whole sending people to conferences. Granted, I was pretty junior, but you know, I know other companies have pretty strong cultures of going to conferences if you can. And look, that's also partly on me. I probably could have just gone to conferences and put my hand up for them. But there's sort of, it's always more fun if you've got other people going with you and sort of encouraging you. Thanks for the link, Barney Rubble. I'll have a look. Now, what's going on with this? I'm just going to hit the power button on the front of the machine and power it off. And then I'm going to set the boot dev and try again, and hopefully it actually boots. Yeah, there it is. So hopefully it actually boots into Pixie this time. No, I don't want to do that. 10.0.11. You only go to network. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, look, fair enough. You know everything. No, absolutely. I mean, that's definitely part of the thing, is to network. It's such a dirty word, but it's so fucking helpful. Power on. And I might switch to my second display and actually watch it this time, just to make sure it actually is booting. Or I'll switch when I hear the beep, just to make sure it's actually booting via Pixie. But yeah, dude, totally agree. I mean, I'm sure they're incredible for networking. If you do or don't know everything, I definitely won't know everything, that's for sure. Yeah, let me just drag that. Oops, that down a little bit more. Yeah. Oh no, we don't really. There we go. But yeah, dude, I'll definitely check that out. Thank you for the link. Appreciate it. Alright, the fan is going nuts. I can hear it starting up. Sorry, this bit's probably reasonably boring. That's what I was going to say before. That's right. Ideas for the stream. So, ideas for the stream so far. I actually have a bit of a maths background before I studied computer science and got into IT. So, and I actually did an honors thesis in maths. And I'm thinking that I want to actually revisit that thesis because, ironically, part of the reason that thesis didn't really go anywhere was because I was a pretty awful developer at the time. I'd like to think I'm a little bit better now, and my code was so buggy and difficult to debug that I actually think it really stopped me getting much further in my thesis. So I'm thinking maybe I'll revisit that, write the code in something that isn't MATLAB, because MATLAB's disgusting. You don't know jack shit, but you make friends and learn stuff off them. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely part of it. I'm definitely keen. Okay, I just heard the beep. I'm just going to switch over. Again, apologies that you can't see this. Might have to figure out a way to make you see it, but it's not really useful because we're only going to do this once. Yeah, okay, it's definitely doing a pixie boot. That's good. As long as it can find it. Yes, okay. It's working. We should be able to see that if we tail the Matchbox log, which I will do right now. Where's that Matchbox log? There it is. Right, you can see, yes, 2330, which is now. Oh, you like that I use Golang? Yeah, dude, I'm still getting into it. I'm assuming you saw that on my GitHub page. Yeah, still getting into Golang. I'm not very experienced with it, but keen to learn. Really keen to learn. I think it's really, really awesome. I like the idea of fat binaries. I'm sick of bloody having to manage dependencies and having weird dependency drift between environments when we deploy. So having everything as packaged in a binary that you can just push up to anywhere is really awesome. And I'm addicted to static typing now that I've been writing a lot of C#. So I like that about it. I like its approach to interfaces where you just have to, have to explicitly implement interfaces. You just have to write the methods that implement it, and it just automatically figures out, okay, yep, this class implements this interface sort of automatically. So yeah, love Golang. Are you a heavy user of it, Bunny Rebel? Oh, look, we can see even more stuff is happening now. Although that just looks like it just... Well, look, it's doing something. Yeah, absolutely, dude. I'll follow you. Hang on, let me do that right now. Some live Twitter following. I am just getting into Twitter. I really didn't really... It's bizarre. I never really saw the point of it, and then I was like, oh, I have something to promote now, and suddenly it's like, oh shit, I immediately see the use of it. So I'm really trying to grow my Twitter, my Twitter presence. I see you followed me on Xenocron, and I've followed you back. So yeah, happy to engage on Twitter. Let's see, null315. There you go. Cool, followed. Nice to meet you, man. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, so as I was saying before, one idea is to stream myself live coding. Definitely something I'm interested in doing. While I'm blathering on them again, I'm going to switch back to my other display and just check on what that server's booting to. It's doing something. Has it really rebooted already? Perhaps it failed to do something. Well, look, we'll find out in a second. It's also booted with a dynamic IP again, which is quite frustrating. I wonder why. Look, this may need some offline troubleshooting if we can't figure it out now, but that's alright, it's all part of it. So, yeah, revisiting the thesis. You use it as an RSS feed. Yeah, I think that's a good way of doing it as well, and I'm actually starting to read a lot more on there. I didn't really sort of read very much. It seems like it's very easy to fall into the same trap as Facebook, which is just you're endlessly scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and not really like getting much out of it. It's just kind of that little tiny dopamine hit. But I'm trying to use it. Interesting. I'm trying to use it a little bit more. Xenocron Go. It's a very performant, statically typed, strongly typed, compiled language that's got a nice package ecosystem that's very actively maintained. The use case is sort of, I think, to try and use it instead of using C and C++. It fills that sort of gap. It's got good concurrency primitives, so if you're doing any sort of yeah, concurrent parallel type programming stuff, it's really good at that. Yeah, so I'm sort of thinking of using it in cases where like its performance is very critical. And it has the backing of Google. That's a very good point, Barney Rubble. It's sort of a language that's come out of Google, Golang, Google Lang in some sense. Absolutely better performance than pretty much anything, other than sort of C, C++, I think. It's supposed to be very fast. So it's kind of competing in that same space as Rust as well. It's trying to be sort of the successor to C, to be a bit of a systems language. Basically garbage collected Rust. I think so. I think it's garbage collected. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not an expert on it by any means. I'm just sort of an enthusiastic amateur. Now, I reckon this thing has crapped itself again. Rust is of no comparison. Interesting. Look, I don't want to get into that that whole war right now. I don't know. I've never really used Rust. I've just gotten into Go because I guess the reason I'm interested in Go as well is a lot of the tools I'm using are in Go, right? So Terraform is written in Go. In fact, I think all of the HashiCorp stuff is written in Go, which is interesting. So to be able to hack on it would be really cool. So yeah, look, it's something I'm interested in. I'm thinking for this Lightpet project, if you followed any of that, I'm going to write the sort of wrapper around, I'm going to write sort of like the data layer around it. I'm going to write like a little API, or a little sort of server application that accepts data. Twitch is written in Go. That's interesting. Didn't realize that. So I'm going to write a little layer around that in Go, just to have to play with it. I just want to learn, play around with it, and another feather in the cap for if I ever need to do some really highly performant stuff. Now I think this has failed again. This Pixie boot is very, very temperamental. I seem to remember yesterday I was able to get it to sort of bootstrap. Did Apple really use Go? That I wasn't aware of. I wasn't aware of the Twitch or Amazon or Apple stuff. That's news to me, but I mean, maybe. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's really going through the right motions. It hasn't actually booted and called the ignition endpoint, which makes me think it has failed yet again. I wonder if I install it to the other device. Yeah, I might try doing that. I think I'm going to install it to the other device. I think that might actually help. So, let me just see what IP it's come up with, or what IP it's sitting on. Unless I'm just being impatient. I'm just going to switch to the other device. No, that doesn't look good. 10.03.216. So 10.03.216. I'm going to SSH into it. I'm going to have a look at the disk devices. I'm actually going to change it. SSH core at 10.03.216. We're SSH'd in. Let's have a look at our disk devices again. Interesting. Netflix using JavaScript. Well, interesting you say that. Are you a fan of JavaScript with TypeScript? Because that's what I've been kind of doing lately. I think it's really cool with TypeScript. But yeah, as a base. Oh, interesting. Okay, fair enough. Barney Rubbles posted to a Glassdoor post of Apple looking for Golang developers. Very interesting. I didn't know that. So I want to have a look at the devices. Okie dokie. Right. I reckon I'm just going to take this and I'm going to try and install it to the second. Look, is that even going to... perhaps that's not a good idea. Perhaps I should just format these disks. Can I do that while I'm logged on? Probably. Interesting. I don't think Rust and JS are both made by Mozilla. I don't think they're made by Mozilla. I think Mozilla use Rust a lot. I don't know if they make JavaScript. I think it's probably, to be fair to say that Mozilla maybe make Rust, but I don't think they... they're definitely on the steering committee that probably decides on the ECMAScript versions, but I don't know if they make JavaScript. I think that's more of a lots of people things. But please no flame wars in my comments about which languages are best or worst. There's a language for every use. I don't particularly like Perl, but I'm sure there are people who love Perl and who could find good uses for it. Yeah. Alright, let's see. I think I'm going to... how do I just drop the partition table? I basically want to just nuke that drive. Delete partition table. The beauty of immutable infrastructure is that you can just drop the partition table. How to delete the partition table. Let's not do that. Let's do it this way. WipeFS. Do we have WipeFS installed on this? WipeFS? We do. Cool. That's what I want. I just want to basically wipe those fastest, but I should do that anyway. Alright, we definitely are SSH'd. Yes. Let's go. I gotta sudo it. Alright. Device or resource busy. Oh, that's frustrating. Swipe SDB. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, right. There's nothing on there now. So let's go sudo umount/boot. Sudo umount/user. Sudo umount/user/share/OEM. Sudo/umount/ target's busy. Let's see if we can wipe FS now. Hey, look, I don't disagree with JavaScript being objectively bad. Look, it was poor. You're right. It was very hastily put together. Became a web standard. I think they fixed a fair bit of that now, using things like TypeScript in the more recent ECMAScript versions. But yeah, I think that's fair enough. Can we wipe FS? Let's do a lsblk sudo umount/user sudo wipefs-a/dev/sda1. Let's just wipe FS all the partitions we can. That's busy. SDA4, SDA6, SDA7, SDA9 we can't do. Slash. Okay, I think now that we've wiped our boot partition, we're going to be pretty fine to not boot. So hopefully now, if I do a IPMI power soft and I do a chassis boot dev pixie, and then I do a power on, hopefully now it's gonna boot we can tail that Matchbox log, and hopefully we'll see it boot properly and call the ignition endpoints, and we won't have to, yeah. And yes, that is Xenocron. That's probably a decent, decent. Oh, thank you for the follow, Barney Rob. Will appreciate it. That's probably a decent description, Xenocron. Somewhat of a system language, easy to prototype with. Got a good standard library, a pretty rich standard library of the bits and bobs you would expect, HTTP servers and encryption and stuff like that. Yeah, it's pretty fun and it's pretty easy to get started with. I like the syntax. I think it's pretty clean. So yeah, yeah, it's a good language, good little language. Now it is rapidly approaching midnight over here, which is what I'm planning on ending, which is frustrating because I was hoping that we'd get all the way bootstrapped into Kubernetes. Hopefully if this goes quickly enough, we'll be able to see things. Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to see the bootstrap beginning. The fan on my server is going nuts, which means it's almost ready to start booting. Hopefully I've mangled the boot device enough that it can't boot from it and it continues to bootstrap properly. Yeah. And I guess I can actually observe that happening. I'm just gonna switch to my secondary, or to my second input, and just watch it iPixie booting. Yep, so it's booted to iPixie. Okay, so it's fetching. Oh, connection reset. No more network devices. What the hell does that mean? Oh, damn. Okay. Okay. That's very interesting. Oh. I wonder if that's why it wasn't booting. Yes, that was probably the issue. Okay. I wish you could see what I'm seeing, guys. It's really frustrating. I guess I could take an image and post it in the chat. But essentially what I just saw was I saw the iPixie boot screen, and it pulled down the VM Liner's image. Well, no. CoreOS Production PXE VM Liners, and then CoreOS Production PXE image.cpio.gz. One of those is probably the RAM FS that it needs to boot, and one of those is probably a kernel. I don't know. Again, as I think I said last time on the stream, that's kind of where my knowledge of these sorts of things ends. But I saw it try and pull down the first one, and it immediately jumped up to like 60%, and then said something about network being unavailable. So I think maybe that was why it failed to bootstrap before. Okay, so now it's pulled that image, and I can see, yeah, it's now showing that standard sort of like Linux boot process where it scrolls and it's got the timestamp on the left-hand side. So hopefully this means that it's actually going to work properly. Yeah, it's got all the normal trappings of a boot. Yes, awesome. Okay, right. It has the correct IP. It's now sort of like a localhost prompt, and it's got a bunch of host keys so that you can verify you're connecting to the right host. And so let's take the ECDSA key and let's SSH and see what we can see. Let me just switch back to the input that you guys are on. So frustrating. I need a second screen, but that's okay. Yes, and yes, and you can see it's pulled the ignition, and then it's pulled the ignition OS equals installed. Okay, so we are well and truly up and running. That's for sure. Yes, very, very good. Very good. Yeah, awesome. Awesome. Cool. So I think that means that now, and if we actually jump over, let me just pop up my secrets page again, just so you don't see anything you shouldn't see. Yeah, cool. So we can view that now. So yeah, here we are over at this screen with the controller secrets. Hopefully, if I if I SSH again into that machine, no, because it hasn't actually installed something yet. This hasn't installed the OS. We have to go 2222. Oh no, that's the wrong IP. That's why. So you have to SSH to core at 10.0.1.1. We have to SSH using port 2222. Yes. Yeah, that's because the ECD. That's fine. So let's vim our .ssh known hosts 33. Cool. Yes, and that does match. Right, and now we can just do a sudo journal control-f. Right, cool. So now we can see this, and again, what we should see here is we should see a few messages in here. We're going to see that scary error message about it not being able to partition things correctly, and then it'll say host disconnected, and that means it's actually booting again. It means it's installed the OS, or it's installed something. I'm not. The messaging based on those ignition requests would seem to say that it hasn't installed the OS yet, but yeah, I don't think that's accurate. I think it makes one request to get maybe the OS installation instructions, and then it makes another one to get the config it needs for after the OS is installed. I think that's how it works. And so fingers crossed, after this all happens, what we'll be able to see, there it goes. Yep, cool. So it's rebooting now. Rebooting now, and then it should. Yeah, as I said, all these errors here are actually fine. I googled them in relation to this project, and it said.
Sorry, I don't know.
Sorry, my Google Home just piped up because I think I said the magic words, which I'm not going to repeat because it'll pipe up again. So it should actually be rebooting now, and hopefully, with a bit of luck, again, I apologize. I'm just going to switch to that VGA input source so I can watch what it's doing. Oh, it's 11 degrees outside apparently. Yes, my server's definitely rebooted because my VGA device is now showing nothing. So when I hear that little beep again, I'm going to switch back to that input and just check that it hopefully has actually booted with 10.0.0.1 as the IP, and then we'll see stuff kick over on this screen. This screen will actually say that it's copying resources over to the machine, and then we're pretty much done. We just got to wait for all that to finish. So yeah, and you know what? I'm inside of the last week at my current employer, so I think I can probably afford to stay up a little later and hopefully show you guys the end of this process. Unfortunately, we didn't get around to doing any of that Helm stuff today, but that's okay. We'll do that on another night or another day, or probably this weekend at some point. I guess the other thing, a few questions. I'll poll the audience again. It worked very well last time. So, question for you guys: do I have to do long streams? Like, I've read some stuff that says the optimal sort of time for doing a stream, and there you go. I just heard a beep. I'm just going to switch over. I'll come back to that question in a second. Switch over to my other input source just to fingers crossed that it's got a static IP this time. Alright, I can see the grub screen. It boots to CoreOS. So yeah, do I actually need to do a full 3 or 4 hour stream, or would you guys not mind if I just stream for like an hour or two? You know, it seems like I've heard various things, but I've heard a lot of the time that it's best to stream for 3 to 4 hours. And look, I don't want to stream 100% of the time because I'll probably get pretty tired of that. I definitely am slightly less productive when I'm streaming just because I'm having to do so much talking and explaining of things. Yeah, if I could possibly only stream for an hour or two, that'd be really great. Ooh, I think it's working. I just saw a message. Yeah. Yes. Okay, it's booted on 10.0.1.1. We are in business, ladies and gentlemen. Awesome. So what we should be able to see is we should be able to see things kicking off on this screen. Yes, there it is. You can't see that. I'm just gonna whip this over to this desktop. Yes, can you see that? Oh no, wrong one. This one. There you go. See how it's saying that it's copying things over? I'm not going to show that much more just because I don't want to reveal any secrets, but you see how it's saying it said copying controller secrets, and then it says bootkube start. So that means it's actually connected to the device and it's provisioning it. So we are in business. We are pretty much, well, not quite done, but and in fact now I think we can just SSH in at the regular port, and we'll use the host name. So node1.home.scoof.com. It doesn't like the ECDSA key again. That's fine. We can remove that. Yes. Cool. Okay, and now we can just journal. We can look at the tail of the bootkube. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right. Very cool. So it's bootstrapping a temporary control plane. You can see there for Kubernetes, and then it's going to actually install all the required services, and then we're done. And then we'll have our functioning Kubernetes server, which is pretty cool. Yeah. Man, that would be a very nice way to wrap up the evening. Yeah, so as I was saying before, it would be really great if I could just stream for a couple of hours. So if you guys are still there, please let me know if that would be okay. You know, you can't necessarily accomplish a whole lot in 2 hours, but I love streaming, and there's so much stuff, and it kind of like, I want to leave or would you prefer that I kind of plan it a little more? Like, I kind of planned this one. I did a fair bit of research yesterday and the day before on what issues I was having, and so I would come in with a very clear plan and sort of a way of attacking the problem, and hopefully not get too stuck. As you saw this evening, I didn't get too stuck. Or would it be better if I just kind of stream ad hoc and just whatever I'm doing? Yeah, I'm leaning towards more the first. Anyway, back to what I was saying before, now that this is just sort of ticking away, and hopefully this doesn't reveal any secrets. If it does, I guess I'll just rerun it again offline. Yeah, as I was saying before, what my plan for this is, yeah, redo my thesis. I'm going to redo skoof.com, so my website. I did it with this custom little JavaScript framework for doing those sorts of like grid portfolio things. I'm going to rip that out, and I'm going to use something called Masonry, which is sort of like a tiling layout, like an endless scrolling thing. I'm going to fetch things in from GitHub and from Medium and stuff like that. Something I've wanted to create for ages, which is we have this joke at work with some of the other infrastructure guys, that, you know, we're being cowboys, so we'll do something, we'll push something, and we'll go psh, 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 and we'll sing that song by Bon Jovi, which is like, I'm a cowboy. I've been wanting to make for a while a physical box with a giant red button on it that says cowboy, and you hit that button and it's got a little Arduino and a speaker inside, and it plays that, it's called Dead or Alive by Bon Jovi. It just plays that little snippet. So I think that'll be a fun little project that I think would be good to do on here. What other projects? Obviously LightPet, I'm going to keep working on that. Oh yeah, there it goes. So it's tearing down that temporary control plane. It's almost done. Obviously the LightPet project, that's got many facets to it, and I think that's going to be a big long project that's going to have lots of stuff involved in it, but I don't want to get too bogged down in it, and I don't want to, and frankly I get bored. I don't want to work on that consistently, so I'll definitely be switching between aspects of that project. There's a bit of an API server, there's a web sort of front end, which is what I've been working on this stream lately. There's the hardware side. I've got to convert the hardware to run to communicate via MQTT. I'm going to run I think there's a Golang based MQTT broker that I have to set up, and all sorts of Docker and kube configuration there within. So that's another project. I came up with an idea the other day, and this is just a random idea, but I thought, what if you had a website where you could share Spotify playlists for board games? Because we were playing this board game called Flashpoint, which is like a firefighting board game. Super, super fun. Shout out to the Flashpoint guys. It's a great game. Very difficult though. And we were thinking, oh, we should play some fire-related music while we're doing this. So, we put on, Ring of Fire by Johnny Cash, and we put on Beds Are Burning, Midnight Oil, classic, and fire-related songs. And I thought, wouldn't it be a cool idea if you could go to a website and search, and it would bring up Spotify playlists, that like user-generated Spotify playlists, and you could kind of vote on them, and and sort of sort that all out. I thought I could build a website for that. I did Google briefly, and there is a site that does have playlists for video for board games, but they're kind of like, they're user submitted, but they're like random songs and random like file uploads from the look of it. They're not actually like, it'd be awesome to play around with the Spotify API and do some sort of OAuth stuff, and let people sort of sign in and use the Spotify data, and let them create their own playlists and then vote on them and stuff. It would be a fun little project, I think, with fun little integrations. So yeah, basically, I mean, yeah, in summary, lots of ideas as to what I could do on this stream. Let me just head over. Oh, it's done. Okay, and it hasn't leaked any secrets from the look of it, so that's good. So let me just show you what that looks like. So let's close that. We need that one. Yeah, so you can see, apply complete. Resources 6 added, 0 changed, 5 destroyed. So it's destroyed all the old resources, it's added all the new ones. Kubernetes is now running, and if we go back to the Docker here, I think I can exit that guy, and I can close that. Exit that SSH session. I think if I go back into this guide, you can have a look down here. Verify I've installed kubectl. You've got to export that config. So export kubectl equals ~/ secrets clusters scoof home auth kubectl and kubectl get nodes, and fingers crossed, there we go. There's our controller and our master running Kubernetes 1.10, 4 minutes old. node1.home.scoof.com, static networking set up, awesome. And we can do a kubectl get pods on all namespaces, and there we are. They're all running. So there we go, guys. I gotta say, I'm excited. I think this is the first. Well, I think there was that night where I was writing TypeScript and we kind of got everything done. But this is, yeah, one of the first times where I've, 2 minutes overtime, over midnight, which is when I was planning on ending the stream. Yeah, we've successfully bootstrapped into a Kubernetes environment on my home server. Pretty damn cool, if I say so myself. Yeah, so really the only thing left to do with this server now is to take that secondary SDB drive and format it using BetterFS, BTRFS, and that's so that what I can do and what I plan on doing this weekend, now that this is all set up, is going down to my local computer parts shop and buying a couple of big, I'm thinking just so I have room to grow, well, no, look, let's not get too insane to begin with. I'm thinking I might just buy a 4 terabyte hard drive, a single one, and chuck it in there. And the reason I want BTRFS as sort of my data partition is that I can then expand that over that 4 terabytes. And if I somehow fill up all those 4 terabytes, then I could just buy another one and expand that again, and then we should be all hunky-dory. Or I can even just buy one, do RAID, do software RAID, because BetterFS can do that. So yeah, BetterFS is going to be really cool. That's what's going to be the data partition. That needs setting up before I can really, like, I'm going to install a Plex server on this thing. But yeah, there we go. Kubernetes running on bare metal, automatically bootstrapped. I didn't have to touch a damn thing other than running that Terraform apply and sorting out that config. Static IP we added. Static device ID, device dev/device by ID assignment for the disk, and there we go. Yeah, I think that's a really nice natural stopping point. Yeah, everything's up and running. I'm really happy with that, and it's actually running on the right IP address and the right which maps obviously to our host name. So yeah, couldn't be happier, to be honest. Um, so yeah, I guess we'll call it there. I'm kind of tempted to keep going, so I'm in a good mood. But I should probably call it there. Get some shut eye. It is just past midnight Australian time. Um, I think the next stream. Look, I'm so chuffed playing with this. I'm not sure if I'll be able to hold back. I'll have to have a think about first of all when I'm going to stream next because it may be Saturday afternoon. I may be quite hungover on Saturday because I'm having my work farewell drinks on Friday night. So if everything goes to plan, I'll be quite hungover. So probably not Saturday first thing in the morning like last time. Possibly Xenocron, maybe for your benefit and for the other Aussies in here. I might just do Saturday night if I'm free. I might well be free. We'll see. Can't quite remember what's on my schedule, but yeah, might do a Friday night. And if I do, then and I'm just thinking that might be the next chance I get to work on this. Maybe not. But anyway, I'll have something for you then. It'll probably be more Kubernetes work. It'll either be deploying a few Helm templates. I'll probably show deploying Helm. So Helm is a package manager for Kubernetes. It's sort of like, it's effectively like, you guys know apt get install, right? It's basically apt get install for Kubernetes. So you basically run Helm install, and then you type the name of what they call a Kubernetes chart, a Helm chart, and it just installs everything, right? So it'll automatically spin up Kubernetes pods to manage all the services that you need. And so I'm planning on using that for administration of this Kubernetes cluster. So I'll probably show the installation of Helm on this cluster. Look, it all depends. I'll have to think about how interesting it's going to be. I mean, running a single command and then showing you the output isn't very interesting. And I also have to think about, like, I want to configure this in my own time. So, I may have done some configuration. And I may be sort of sick of streaming all this Kubernetes stuff. But, we'll see. Yeah, next time I suspect it'll be possibly installing Helm, but probably showing you authoring a Helm chart. I've never done that before, but I'd like to have a play around with it. As I was saying at the beginning of the stream, if you caught that, about the Elm language. No, not Elm. Helm. Helm. If you tuned in at the start, what I was saying was that there's something called Wiki.js, which is a wiki written using JavaScript. And I'm planning on running that on this Kubernetes cluster, and there's currently no Helm chart for it. So I'm thinking I might write a Helm chart for Wiki.js, and I think that'd be a fun exercise and pretty interesting. And then I can run my home wiki server. So yeah, I think that'd be fun, and I think that may be what I stream next when I stream. As I said, possibly on Saturday. Probably not before that unless some of my other plans for this week fall through, which they sometimes have a habit of doing. So, yeah, we'll see. But, yeah, quite probably Saturday, if not Saturday, Sunday. Definitely going to find a time to stream on the weekend. I'll be showing some Helm charts. Maybe more Kubernetes configuration as I get to know it better. I mean, I'm very new to Kubernetes. I've used OpenShift a tiny weeny bit at work, but I've left that mostly to more experienced people. But yeah, Helm is effectively apt-get install for Kubernetes services. So you just do a Helm install. Oh, I have it installed. A Helm install, and it'll install that. So I might be writing a Helm chart, possibly other things. If not, if I get all that done, I might just be going back to some TypeScript and JavaScript. But yeah, we'll find out. Yeah, I think I'm going to call it there. So thank you very, very much for watching. Thank you to Xenocron. Thank you to Bunny Rubble. Thanks for the follow. Hopefully you guys can tune in next time. I'm going to try and I know you two guys both follow me on Twitter, and I'm trying to put out on Twitter when I'm streaming. I'm trying to put it out on Twitch when I'm streaming, although I don't think I've necessarily been that good at that lately. If you know me in real life, I haven't been putting it out on Facebook or LinkedIn, but I probably should. Just total network saturation. I just don't want to be too spammy. But yeah, I'll try and keep you guys all in the loop. just do what you want. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, it is really just going to be a hobby. It's never going to be my full-time job, so I should probably just do it whenever I feel like, and stream whenever I feel like. But yeah, thanks for the advice. That's kind of the plan. So yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for joining me. Appreciate your time on this lovely evening, afternoon maybe. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you found it interesting. Hope you learned something new. Feel free to follow. Feel free to find me on Twitter, GitHub, LinkedIn. Have I linked to that? Maybe. I think I have. Just say I'll stream in X hours. Okay, that's good to know, Xenocron. I'll let you know. That's what I'll try doing from now on. I've been trying to do like my time and then putting time zone conversions. Probably more trouble than it's worth. Just X hours from now. Maybe with the time zone conversions. I think that's nice. I've always appreciated that when I've got it from other people. So yeah. Oh, we can switch to the big camera. Yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. Hope you learned a lot. Kubernetes cluster up and running. Cool. Very happy with that. And I will catch you very soon. Hopefully this weekend. Thanks again for watching. Take care. See you later.